Episode 33.
Just swatting at the fly that I think's in the room.
It's a good one. As always, it's fucking so tired.
Is it a good one, Nick? Was it a good one?
You know, if you really think about it, when people listen on each podcast, say they did it consecutively, right? I don't know who the fuck would do that.
Yeah.
It's a good one. 3 hours later, it's a good one.
Yeah.
3 hours later, it's a good one. Like,
let's start this off again. 1, 2, 3. Man, this one was shit. Happy. We got to go week by week basis. So happy end of July, everybody. This is our final podcast of July. Our next one will be in August.
And we never get to go back. Time just keeps moving forward.
It's like
and
sand through your fingers.
You grow older, and
death is coming.
And you just eventually fade into dust, and
everything's pointless.
You're forgotten.
The universe goes into heat death.
Yep.
So episode 33, we have Linda Cheung on.
We have our friend Linda.
We've brought her up in multiple podcasts. She made the fucking logo for our entire fucking podcast.
And possibly, depending on if it's something that we want to use and if she ends up finishing it whenever she does, if she does, gonna make another one with us I'll just wait. Yeah. I'll see if it's a surprise.
She's putting that software engineer bachelor's into good use.
I fucking hate you so much. She's sitting here trying not to laugh. But yeah, Linda Cheung is a friend that we met basically through the podcast.
Through the podcast, if we're being real. Like Twitter, yes, but honestly through the podcast is what like sparked it.
She sends all the questions. She was actually the one that sent the fucking episode where we talked about all the questions. For like
exactly. She made 2 episodes on this podcast and she's only been a guest on 1.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we just kind of talk a little bit about everything.
So yeah, you guys are going to meet her now.
And please help us introduce our guest, Linda Cheung, as we start the episode now.
Yes! Welcome to the Nick and Tub
podcast. That was good.
Yep.
Again, I'm always fucking stoked on it.
I'm like, that fucking dumb podcast. Like, I like it. It's fucking good shit.
That was so good. Dude, this is the best fucking thing we've ever done.
You fucking, I have to cut out those noises that you make.
No, you don't.
Because right after the clap sometimes, when I listen back on it, it's really just like this animal noise that comes out. Just like okay.
That's character.
So we can either jump into that topic that we were talking about with Juul pods. Are they called Juul pods? Juuls?
Yeah,
what? Juul pods?
There's Juuls and the pods are like the replenishment.
Yeah,
I believe. I could be wrong.
We don't know. We don't smoke.
Yeah. You don't smoke, right?
No.
Okay. Is there anything that's going to get you in trouble if you talk about it that you know to avoid?
No. Go ahead. Yeah. Talk about anything you want.
Even like Instagram and whatnot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that happy, I can talk about that one?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have that. There's so many different things.
Yeah, we won't run out of topics.
No, okay. Definitely not.
Got it.
That it's Happy Linders, right?
Yes.
That account is it's such a good idea. Like that is one cool thing that we can just jump right into because I've been curious about that. You briefly mentioned it and then I've been seeing the posts on it that you post up.
Well, have her explain it.
Yeah.
Well, it's basically a Finsta, but kind of like, I guess, maybe like an anti-Finsta because first of all,
that's
if you think about it, because a lot of people made Finstas to complain about things that they can't post publicly. Some people post nudes, but it's up to them.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be complaining about things. You guys, like when I listened to your podcast, I heard you guys talk about how you wake up. You don't have to be grateful when you wake up, but you don't have to be in a bad mood when you wake up.
Right.
And, I made that account just so that way I can think of things to be grateful of, whether it's something really deep one day or whether it's something just surface level. I just want to remind myself to be in a good mood all the time.
Yeah.
Vince, if you guys have never mentioned him on the podcast, but Vince is my best friend. He's from AV. That's how I
love Vince
so much. That's how I basically have met you guys because of him. But he was the one that always taught me to just be grateful for things, be optimistic. He was the one that basically taught me to get through my hard days, looking for things to be optimistic or things to be grateful of.
Damn. I've known Vince for a while and we've talked like a decent amount, but never gotten into deeper topics like that. So like this is the first I've heard of him like having this like mindset and it makes me love him even more.
It just like you said, it's either deeper meanings or like surface level stuff. I think today or yesterday or just recently in general, you posted up food that you get excited when your mom cuts you fresh fruit when you get home and stuff like that. Like that's fucking cool. And I think if people did that, you're doing it every day for a year. right?
Just for
Or
as long as I want to.
Yeah, no, that's I
dope.
think it's dope, dude.
How far you know?
I think yesterday was day 50.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fuck
it
yeah.
was. And I looked at it and I was like, food. And then you open up the caption and it's just that small. It's the small things that actually add on to the day. And when you're able to notice it and actually like embrace it, and you posting up about it, it's constant reminders. Whereas let's just call it a year. You get 365 days in, that's 365 posts. And you can just go back and just be like, oh, dude, that like I was happy for something each and every day. I found something.
That's huge.
It is.
People don't have that. Man.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just cool. Like I had a family barbecue yesterday. All of my siblings actually were able to get together except for one of the step siblings. And that was the first time it's happened in years. And we didn't take a photo.
Oh no.
And but the thing is there was a significant event that not going to mention, that's their business, but why we were there, and we now have that burned into our heads. So we'll never forget why we were there, but there's not an actual picture showing us all being there together for the first time in, like I said, years.
Yeah.
So it's dope to be able to capture those moments and constantly document them.
Yeah.
So shout out to you for doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So I'm curious, since you've done it, have you noticed it like shift how you view your day-to-day life or how you view life in general?
Yes, definitely.
Really? Oh, that makes me happy.
Not just life in general, but I think it's just living every day, just because, I'm still looking for a job. I'm currently unemployed right now. And, it's been a while since I've been unemployed, or like since I've had a job. So it's like waking up every day and it's just like, what do I do today?
Yeah.
And it's like, it feels like a drag, just like I have a college degree, I have work experience, and then I just can't find a job. And it really, drags you down every day. But then thinking about the things that I want to be grateful for today, or just, trying to, it's not a task to look for something to be grateful of, but it just kind of takes like a part of my day to think about it, and it just makes me appreciate it, I guess. So it does make me feel a lot happier.
It's dope because it's reflection on yourself and reflection on your day, and actually being able to think about what happened throughout the day rather than letting it just slip by.
Yeah.
But you were talking about you in school, and you just graduated.
I graduated in 2016. I have a degree in business economics, and I wanted to go into social media marketing and things. And I had a full-time job right when I got out of college. I worked that for a year or so, and then I realized that I wanted to go back to school, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to get a master's yet. So I decided to quit my full-time job. I went back to school to get a certificate in marketing, and then after that, I realized that it's maybe not the most interesting or more realistic job that I want to do, because I don't know if I'm interested in marketing. So I'm currently in this crisis in my life of if I want to find a full-time job and do marketing and hate it for the rest of my life, or if I want to switch into something else, go back to school for another like 3 or 4 years and figure that out.
Ooh,
so
shit.
that's the current crisis I'm
Yeah,
in.
no, that's
and
a
that's
big
why I feel like a drag in my life right now. But
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Like, I literally have been studying marketing. I stopped for like a year. But I'm like one class away from my 2-year degree in marketing. And I'm like, okay, if I get this, then like, the fuck am I? Do I want to do this?
Yeah.
It's like, because I'm at that point, once I continue, then I start getting in debt.
Yeah,
Then it's like
exactly.
the full degree. And so I'm like, do I really want to get into debt for some shit that I don't even know if I want? So and it's in marketing. So I literally fucking relate right on point. And real quick
go for it.
Just to touch base, this is our first time ever hanging out. Like
Ever.
with Linda. Like Linda and I were at the same party one time, met most likely.
Yeah.
I
beat him at a game of beer pong.
That's right. Yeah. You did mention that. So, and that's, that's good shit.
Yeah.
But, so it'll be a little bit more of like all three of us kind of evenly sharing the mic, just because it's like us kind of hanging out, getting to know each other, and more or less like shooting the shit.
Well, because you got to know us mostly through listening to the podcast.
Exactly.
And then you were one of the, I'd say handful, maybe few people that constantly kept up and reached
gave
out
feedback.
and the feedback and everything else. And,
And gave us a logo.
Oh yeah.
that's
right.
right. Yeah, that's
Fucking
right.
literally.
I constantly like forget about that just because it's one of those things that you see, but you don't ever really like pay attention to over and over again. So shout out to you, dude. You're actually here now.
I know.
Yeah, you helped build
You
this.
also didn't introduce yourself. So I
Oh,
mean,
right. Hi, I'm Linda. I like long walks on the beach. I'm just kidding.
I've been waiting for at least one person to do that, where it's just like, rather than giving the actual rundown, it's the cliche. So
Is that your intro?
No, but
I
sorry.
was gonna say if you want to leave it there.
I mean, I'm Linda. I met Nick and Tub through Twitter, basically.
Yeah.
And now I'm here.
How do you say your last name?
Cheung.
Cheung.
So
okay.
the E is silent.
Okay. You never know.
Yeah.
Like Nguyen, right?
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm not Vietnamese. It's
I just don't like. I always look
What?
at that Nguyen. Like, is it NG?
Nguyen, Nguyen, Nguyen. Like,
Yeah.
there's so many ways.
I don't know. I always went like with like New Yang or something like that.
Well,
like
'cause
with the NU sound.
I've seen it like NGUYEN, and I'm like, how the fuck?
Exactly.
Tag along.
Fuck you, dude.
I love that cookie.
It'll never live me down. I don't even know what the fuck you said with the cornea thing, and that's already gone. But tag along will always be there. You were working on the other logo,
Yes.
right? And you just haven't had the
I
time.
haven't finished it.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine. I was just curious as to because it's very
You can hear
Rick
Nick's
and Morty.
impatience.
Exactly.
I said you can hear Nick's impatience.
Yeah.
No. I'm just curious
like,
because
"Hey,
you
I
were
sent you
posting up like the
pictures."
Rick and Morty stuff over and over.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to see what I look like as Rick and Morty. So yeah,
Okay.
maybe it is impatience
Here's
a
the
little.
thing. You have a lot of tattoos, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to turn them into cartoons, so I need to work on
You
that
honestly
too.
come up with your own.
Yeah, because the whole idea is color and black and white.
Got
so
it. That
if you
helps.
just did whatever you wanted, just I mean, if you really
Fucking chess checkers.
fuck you,
Cats and dogs.
you. Fuck. What did I stop you on before we started?
Just my introduction of how I met everyone from the AV, I guess.
I am genuinely curious about that because I
Yeah.
thought you were from out here from all the people that you know.
Yeah, no, I live about an hour and a half away ish. So I worked before I found my full time job right out of college. I was working part time at a place called Lolly Cup. It is like a tea house place, and that's basically where I met Vince. And me and Vince basically hit it off at work. We were like the ones that kind of got each other's jokes and stuff. And then after that, I guess within the last 3 years of me knowing him, he's become one of my best friends. And then he moved out there from over here in the AV, and he didn't have too many friends out there, so he introduced me to a lot of the friends from over here.
All the good people that live in the AV.
Yeah, so I basically got to know a lot of them. He got to know some of my friends, and it just kind of stuck. And then I just started going to parties and events with them, and
Yeah.
now I'm just part of the AV, I guess.
You guys are fucking like a close knit group.
Yeah.
That Vegas trip
Dude, I know.
was insane. I was looking at that. I was like, I don't even know how you even managed to do that. And your fucking posts on it on Twitter, like you're like day one, it already like entirely stressed out. You haven't even gotten to Vegas yet, and then after that, it was photo after photo of Soldier falling one by one of just people just dropping
Fucked.
fucking
I wish you
drunk.
had me on Snapchat because there were a lot of posts that I could not post publicly on my Snapchat
damn. Oh,
of them.
They go so wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they do.
It was a group of 25 people. It was actually a surprise party for Vince. It was a surprise
No
trip for Vince's
way.
birthday. Yeah.
Was it actually? Did it stay a surprise?
It stayed a surprise until I think 3 weeks before because we wanted to make sure he could get work off. So we planned it for 2 months or so. And then after that, we made like a group chat and
Yeah.
then we FaceTimed him. And then we were like, surprise, we're going to Vegas. And
Hey,
he was like,
that's-
what do you mean?
That's so
Yeah.
dope.
That's
He was
actually
pissed.
way easier. Why was he pissed?
He was pissed because he wanted to plan a Vegas trip by himself. And he was asking everyone, like, hey, are you guys free this weekend to go to Vegas? And everyone was like, I'm not free. I don't know if I want to go to Vegas. And then everyone played it off. And he was like, you guys are motherfuckers, I swear.
Hell yeah. I've never thought about making the surprise earlier than the actual day just because, for example, Tub had a birthday surprise that everybody was doing fine on until one person
The night before
was
is
like,
ruined.
I'm really excited for Cheesecake Factory tomorrow.
And then
and
they said it was I'm really excited for Cheesecake Factory tomorrow. Next message, oh fuck.
yeah. And rather than trying to play it off of just like, oh, I thought, wrong person, whatever, she went, oh, fuck.
Dude, there's so many ways you could have saved it, and she just gave up.
Right.
Like,
And
wrong chat.
versus like 3 more weeks of agonizing pain of trying to keep that from the person, then trying to get them it's a 3-hour drive from here without traffic. So yeah, fuck all that. I think I might actually take that lesson now and apply it to surprises.
Yeah, I mean, it's safe.
it is very safe, and the FaceTime is perfect. Like, do that with a bunch of people. So
I'm real curious.
yeah, go for it.
Yes.
25 people?
Yes.
Fucking
About 22, and then a couple others stayed in a separate room, but total of like
How
maybe
many
25.
rooms?
We booked one giant room, and then we booked the one connected to it.
Oh my
Was it a suite?
Yeah. So it was like a bigger suite, the bigger room, and then the one next to it,
Meant
which is
for
a
how
little
many
bit smaller.
people?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how many is supposed to fit?
Like 2 to 4.
2 to 4 in the big suite?
Yeah, that's what they say on the hotel when
That doesn't
you
even
know
make
you know when you
sense.
rent it out, you can only
So-
pick to 4 people.
Yeah.
But we fit everybody in there.
So like the room was covered with like sleeping bags and air mattresses. I'm
Yes,
assuming.
air mattresses,
That
pull-out
nobody
couch
used.
beds. Basically, because we didn't sleep the first night. You have to watch the vlog that we had for it. It's like maybe a 20-minute vlog, but it's hilarious.
I'll watch it.
I'm down.
Because you guys know them, so it'll be hilarious.
yeah.
Yeah. I actually don't
so
know
crazy.
them.
Dude,
Oh, you don't?
No.
Oh, I love them.
I don't know the group at all. That's why I
Okay.
said in high school when I was getting like dirty
Gotcha,
looks from that whole
gotcha.
group, I didn't know them.
Right.
By the way, give that preface because they're probably going to listen to this. To you guys that are listening to this, that were part of the
hate you, I promise.
no, that were part of the Asian group that hung out under the tree, huh? You guys used to give me dirty fucking looks, so I thought we had problems the whole time. We don't. It's good, but yeah, it was. I never actually got to know them because of that.
Gotcha.
Small little
And there's
tidbit.
also an age gap.
Yeah, I mean, it was honestly
my year.
it was a mixture of because it wasn't it didn't start with them. It started with when I was a freshman. It just
Got
it
it.
was like literally when senior Asians would leave. The juniors that became seniors became part of that.
Got it.
And it just kept recycling over and over. So
The torch was passed on.
yeah, so seriously, from like 9th to 12th grade, it was always that tree where the Asian crew hung out, and it was always dirty looks. And I was like, I didn't even do anything.
Got it.
But
You're just reading their faces wrong, Nick.
wow, that's fucked up.
That's you, bro.
You said it, not me.
It was the sun glare and their eyebrows arched down. So with that being said with the group, and you said that this is going to piss people off, and I am so ready for it.
Okay.
The whole jewel pod thing that you brought up.
Yes. How do we start this?
You got beef with
Okay,
Jules.
let's just see like if I can actually pull it up in the Twitter messages or
Yes.
not.
So like, so you are against Jules, basically any type of like e-cigarette nicotine related thing.
Yes.
And do your friends who are anywhere involved with it know your opinion on it?
Yes, they know that I don't do it personally. They know that I'm just kind of not okay with it. When they smoke cigarettes, they know not to do it around me just because I don't want to be breathing the air. Sometimes they forget with e-cigarettes, they'll blow it and it'll like hit or
Catch
like
you.
catch me, or they'll blow it around in the area, and I'm more okay with the e-cigarettes, I guess, just
Yeah.
because the smell of cigarettes is just so
At least e-cigarettes, it's like
Off-putting,
it's
know?
like vapor that smells fruity.
yeah. But
One thing about I will agree that the smell is really off-putting, but the very, very first initial, like when it's lit up, it smells so fucking good.
Really?
Yes, it's
Really?
different. It's literally different from the actual cigarette
I'm
itself.
never around for it to...
You should smell it when they
You
first
should
light
just
up
take
a
the
cigarette.
first greens.
You should just smell it. It's an inch. It's not sweet, but it's definitely different, like from cigarettes in general. It's just the first initial whatever the fuck causes that.
If I find out, I'll find out, but I'm not going out of my way.
You don't want me to just, okay. So you sent a link
Yes.
and you said, don't know how true this is, but would love to hear you guys talk about it. You're here, so let's do it. But you sent, it's a link to an Instagram post. Do you guys want me to just read it?
Yeah.
Okay. So a teen's 2-pot a day Juul addiction caused a massive stroke, according to the lawsuit, which is the first time an e-cigarette company has been sued for a medical issue this severe. The stroke required 3 brain surgeries and left the plaintiff with left side paralysis, speech impairment, and 50% loss of vision in both eyes, which, Jesus fucking Christ,
Yeah,
that's a
you're
huge
halfway
stroke,
dead.
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maxwell Berger, interesting name, now 22, developed an addiction to Juul products during the summer of 2015 as he was finishing his last year of high school, the lawsuit says. By 2017, Berger was taking puffs of his Juul as often as every 10 minutes, causing him to go through 2 cartridges every day. That July, Berger had a massive
hemorrhaging,
hemorrhagic, okay, stroke where he spent more than 100 days in the hospital, the lawsuit states. It left him with catastrophic and permanent injuries. That's the first time I've heard about that.
Well, I have no idea how much is a lot and how much isn't a lot. So if someone's going through 2 cartridges a day, I don't know if like someone who smokes or who like vapes Juuls is like, God damn, that's a lot. Or wow, he, had a stroke off of a regular.
Yeah,
amount.
I don't actually know.
It kind of sounds like a lot because those little pods that I've seen, all of my friends use, I don't think they don't switch them for like maybe a week or so.
Oh yeah. If you think about some of the people that we know that smoke them, like they last a while.
I don't pay attention to it. I just know that they do it.
Okay,
And a lot of people just have the coil and the oil. Like I don't.
Well, that's
That's a normal vape.
Yeah.
But I don't like pay attention to the difference of how often they replenish.
I actually haven't read into Juul pods at all. Like, is it? There's
Yeah.
nicotine in it, obviously.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
You can get nicotine-free ones, but that's just you playing around with water vapor.
Yeah.
Right, which is
Some people do that.
with
but-
even just vaping in general, to go off on that little tangent, vaping is extremely fucking dangerous to do itself, because what you're doing is taking, from what I understand, water vapor that has the juices in it, which turns it's sugar essentially. So you're taking liquid sugar into your lungs, and there's a thing that happens called honeycombing, where it literally there are certain parts of people's lungs, if you look into it, it looks like a honeycomb. And what the sugar does is it crystallizes inside the lung itself, and it hardens the lung and it kills it. And there's no reverse effect, like you can't do anything to it. So once the honeycombing effect starts, that part of the lung is dead, and your breathing is now limited more and more as it builds.
Interesting. I haven't heard of that.
And that's and that's not just reading into it. We have an old buddy, his mom is a nurse, and would fucking get on his case about smoking it, because she had actual cases where she showed pictures of it, like
Wow.
in the hospital, having the x-rays and whatnot that showed, or MRIs, whatever case showed it. But it actually does kill off the part of the lung.
Yeah. I never truly grasped it in general, just because from what I understand, you just get a head rush, and I like that never seemed appealing enough to me to want to go start an addiction. Like I was always like, I'll just drink a cup of coffee instead and have a like way less percentage of getting addicted to any type of stimulant.
Yeah.
But and also just like the direct relation to cigarettes. Like everybody is so anti-cigarettes besides the people who smoke them.
Right.
And so you would think literally something that started off being called an e-cigarette, there wouldn't be any appeal to it, but there tends to be a culture behind it. There tends to be a kind of like a status you can put on yourself when you do it. And on top of that, the marketing of the companies making it so like appealing to
Exactly.
teens. It's like, oh, it lights up at the end of it and it tastes like strawberries. It's so much fun. And then on top of that, you get a buzz. And so like, it's like, I never had an appeal to it, but like, I totally understand why people get hooked on them.
Yeah.
But I never like saw past, like I would think, throwing myself in it, say I started it, got hooked. Once I started doing it, not to get the buzz, but to like get the buzz and prevent a withdrawal. Once I'm at that point where I have a pure dependency on it, then I would start trying to get
Well, because
off.
coffee is the same thing.
Yeah, like I try to keep myself like limited when I drink coffee, because I don't want to be that dumbass who has a headache on a Sunday morning because I don't want to take a cup.
It was funny because it's like, I'm not going to smoke the Juul pods
But
or
I'll drink
vape,
coffee.
but I'll drink coffee.
No, that's why I said have a lower percentage of
Which,
growing a
I mean-
dependency. Like I drink coffee maybe like 3-4 days a week, and I could go
Right.
however long without it and be fine with no headache or no drowsiness and any of that.
I had gotten to a point once where it was I had to drink coffee, otherwise I'd get a piercing migraine. where
Dude,
I
see,
couldn't
that's
move.
what I want to.
Same.
That's what I want to avoid. And so
Yeah.
I
Well, the
stay
thing
away
is
from that.
like you can try and avoid that, but your body does eventually become accustomed to the amount that you drink.
Yeah.
Whereas like 3 or 4 times a week becomes the norm for your body, and if you do it once a week, then you start feeling the what is it, adverse effects of it, or whatever the hell that term is. I believe
Negative
it's adverse
effects?
negative effects of it, where you get the fatigue and the headaches and the fucking irritability and everything else.
Yeah. Mine is more, I try to go case per case. If I like
Yeah, of
get
course.
no sleep and I have a big work day, then I go for it. But if I'm feeling fine, I'm feeling fine.
Yeah.
But like, that's one of the things, like I'll try to monitor the intake. But the shitty thing with like nicotine is like, it's way easier to get addicted to that. And once you're on it, it's really fucking hard to get off of
Yeah.
it too. And like, I have a buddy of mine who's like, no, I don't really think there's much bad from it, and if I find out that there's something bad, then I'll stop.
Yeah.
And it's like there's tends to be a mentality of I can stop whenever I want, and I think that's bullshit. Personally,
Agreed.
I mean, I guess
like I don't think anyone has just that cold turkey switch. I think some people do, but I think it's way more rare than people admit.
Right, but it's definitely rare, but
Yeah,
it just
so if
depends upon the person.
Yeah, like if your average Joe person's like, I can stop when I want. It's like, then do it.
Yeah, it took me fucking 10 years to stop biting my nails, and then it just like picks up randomly again because like those I don't know. I can't think of what I was going to say.
What is the phrase? Old habits die hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the addiction starts to come back of it. When I first stopped biting my nails in the beginning, which they're all fucked up now, I remember I woke up in the middle of the night and I was ripping one off like in my sleep. I was like, oh, yeah, no, dude, that's bad. So, yeah, it depends on the person. That's why I don't smoke. Like if I get into cigarettes, I'm like, I'm not going to stop.
And especially like, I know people who have done the exact reverse transition that vaping is supposed to do. Like vaping is supposed to like taper you off of cigarettes.
Yeah.
And there are people who have never done cigarettes who started vaping and then can't get any juice, so then they go smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Dude, it's like it's the dumbest shit. Like,
I know a handful amount of people that have literally just said, man, I can't believe people use vapes and stuff just to look cool, and then they transition into smoking cigarettes, and then those same people that have said that literally do that now.
yeah,
Like a handful of
That's
people do that.
That's so insane to me.
because at least there's like the benefits. Or not benefits is the wrong word. At least there's like the pluses to vaping of you don't like stink all the time and your teeth don't turn yellow and you don't have like your walls in your house turn yellow and have to go outside whenever you get, a craving.
True.
But, and so like, it's just like, that's in its thing. And with people who are addicted to cigarettes who are like 50, 60 and everything, they grew up in a much different environment. They had parents who had doctors who were telling them smoking cigarettes was
Dude,
fine.
I was going to bring that up. Do you know about back in the day when cigarettes first started coming around?
I knew that the advertisements were advertising to a lot of younger people.
They were advertising,
saying smoking is
period.
cool.
Yeah, they were saying like
It wasn't just
doctors,
smoking.
like doctors approve. They're like,
I didn't
oh,
know
this
about
is
that.
like,
Literally-
a smoke a day keeps you like in good shape. Like,
And doctors knowing what it does to your body, it would show doctors smoking saying we prefer these
yeah,
cigarettes.
we
Like,
prefer
they were
menthols
getting,
or Camels or
because
whatever.
they were getting paid for this shit.
That's ridiculous.
And so you
Yeah.
would. It wasn't even a like controversial topic. It wasn't a topic at all. It wasn't like, do you smoke? It was, what do you smoke?
Right.
What do you prefer? And then when the studies started coming out and people were like, no, this is killing you, like really bad.
And
Yeah.
then that's when the whole bad boy culture started
Yeah,
too.
then it got the
Yeah.
aesthetic of, oh, like, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
Yeah.
bad
Those
boy shit.
commercials, yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
and-
exactly.
And so like then it's the badass part of it. But like growing up now, when I hear people like our age getting addicted to cigarettes and not even vaping, like just straight into cigarettes, I'm like, the fuck
How?
are you doing? Like
Right.
smoke weed, please.
Yeah.
Do that instead.
How many people do you know, since apparently you know a lot of people that smoke, did you know quite a few that were going from cigarettes to anything else aside from that?
I know maybe I could probably say 3 to 5 people that went from cigarettes to vaping, but more than my hands can count for people that just started smoking vapes just to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask how many, if you know a certain amount of people that used to smoke cigarettes that went into vaping or Juul pods or whatever. I actually had friends that would say the movement of smoking itself, having it down here and to their mouth and back and forth was enough. They were like, I need something to replace that. I'm like, what
Wow.
the fuck, dude?
That's
Like-
a crazy habit.
It's such
Yeah,
a
I mean,
weird
it's
excuse.
deep-
Yeah.
It's deeply ingrained. Like it's the entire idea of like your brain will give you dopamine not on the exact event that's rewarding, but right up to it. It's like when you're scrolling on the timeline on Twitter, you're getting your dopamine hit as you're scrolling, not when you see the tweet itself, because it's like the anticipation of a
Yeah.
reward.
Yeah.
It's the same idea with like Pavlov's dogs. It's they start salivating at the bell, not
Yeah.
at the food.
Yeah.
And so just the idea of you bringing that cigarette up to your mouth will give you just a little bit of dopamine right
It's
before
just
the
so
actual drug
fucking-
hits.
That's so wild, dude.
Yeah, and it's crazy to think that like our habits can literally trick our brain into shooting us up with like the good neurotransmitter drug.
Yeah.
Just by like routines.
Right. But as for jewel pods and like, are there any other comments on?
Question: did you guys know that? I think it was San Francisco banned jewel pods, vaping in public or something. Yeah, they banned it completely. I don't think they meant publicly.
I know that they. I can't remember if the one I heard was San Francisco, but I remember hearing one that I think I'm not going to make any definitive statements. Either a state or the entire country plans on banning all flavors of like vaping and jewel pods, and it's only tobacco flavored is allowed. And then, but like the fruity, appealing ones are going to get a ban soon because they're attracting people to it rather than helping people get off it.
Right.
And so they're going to limit it to like literally like this is just tobacco flavored, but it's vapor. So you don't have to be
and you don't know where this is?
Stinky. Well, I don't know if it's countrywide or if it's like California.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm not going to make a hard stance and be like, oh,
but it's in the US.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And they plan on getting rid of the flavors just to like try to get people less into it because it's doing the reverse of what it's supposed to. It's getting more people addicted to nicotine. Like it's interesting for sure.
Quick question: do you guys know anybody that does hookah?
Not regularly.
I used to, but not like again regularly, especially because that shit fucks you up.
I did hookah once
all
ever
nicotine,
in my life.
right?
Yeah.
It's the equivalent of smoking one bowl from what I remember people saying. It was one bowl is 100 cigarettes, I think.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah, one bowl to yourself.
Okay.
So, I mean...
Because when I first got to college, my first year, hookah was everything. Like, I hung out with a lot of fraternity people, so they had hookah sets literally at their apartments.
Yeah.
While they're studying, they're just passing around the hookah. But then vapes started getting bigger, and then I think I saw less of the hookah sets, and then that's when vapes took over, I guess.
It's so wild,
So
especially now that, like, there's all these handheld things that are personalized. Because, like, with a hookah... You got, if you went to the right place, you'd get a little mouthpiece that went on the nozzle, so not everybody was sharing it. And then that became like a collective thing. And now it's people having like, these things are the size of fucking phones sometimes.
Yeah.
What?
Vapes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They're the box mods. They're fucking humongous.
It's just...
This thing says, an hour of hookah exposes the smoker to 100 to 200 times the amount of smoke inhaled from one cigarette.
Yeah. So
That's
1 hour is
insane.
1 to 200 cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's fucking
it's
nuts.
fucking gross.
Yeah, I smoked hookah one time and it was with everyone in Vegas, and that was like a, I'm here, fuck it thing. But it's never something that I would go out of my way to go find a lounge.
The last time I ever smoked hookah was it was an actual hookah lounge that was out here that lasted all of, I think, a fucking year because it was just trash. And I remember I got done and I thought I was going to puke. I was like, this is fucking gross, dude.
And some people it's in their culture. I know it's like very popular in the Middle East.
Yeah.
And people can just fucking take it and throw it down like it's alcohol on a weekend.
Yeah. Speaking of germs and all the other stuff, that reminded me. Is that with a straw in the bottle that you have?
Yes. It's new though, so it's not all bacteria and germy.
So you know all about that.
Everyone talks about that.
I didn't even know up until
Educate
a couple of
me.
years. So straws and bottles, like the ones that actually
like
go
like
in a
thermoses.
Yeah. It is really fucking bad to drink out of those because you can't clean inside of it unless you have something specifically made that fits
What if you
inside.
just drink soap once a week?
That's really gross. But even if you were to get like the soap in there and try and swish it around, unless you have something in there to scrub off the constant water spit, it's just building up bacteria and all the germs and everything else, and you can actually consistently get sick.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why, like with this thing, it's a straight hole right to it.
Yeah.
Like if I forget to wash this bottle for a little while, I'll start to either get like canker sores. I don't know if you know what canker sores are. You know what canker sores are?
Really? You get canker sores from that?
I have my stomach issue. I think they don't actually know what causes. They don't know what causes canker sores. I looked it up because I was like, maybe it's a form of STD because cold sores are. Cold sores are herpes simplex. So it is actually a form of herpes, but canker sores, they have no idea what the root cause of them are.
Okay.
So like for me with my stomach issue, acid constantly kicks up. So I would think that canker sore, basically it looks like you got burned, like acid kind of sat in a place for too long. For example, if I brush my teeth and if I drink even something I've touched before with my mouth or, like any type of food, 2 days later, I'll have a canker sore.
That's insane.
I have an extreme sensitivity to them. So if this doesn't get washed for like 3 or 4 days, I'm more prone to it.
Wow.
That's why when I see the straws, I'm like, that shit used to fuck me up, dude.
No wonder. I didn't know that about canker sores.
I try to have people like avoid the straws because, you know, all that bacteria and nastiness built up in them.
Yeah.
One of the other things, just because like Tuv and I have this tendency to sometimes, depending on who's here, if you bring up topics, we'll just keep fucking going. And I'm like, no, gotta let Linda talk. I'm
literally, I'm talking, thinking in my head, shut up, shut up.
No, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like I'm just watching the podcast live, I guess, so I forget to talk sometimes. So I'm just like, oh, interesting. Yeah, I agree.
Right. And whereas now you can actually chime in, you know, on the spot.
Dude, you can swerve conversation wherever you want.
Because when I'm
you
listening
control
to the podcast, I'm thinking of it. Like I'm on the treadmill or something and I'm thinking of it and I write notes and I'm like, okay, I'm going to message them about this. But then it's like, okay, speak.
I know for a fact that one of the things Caleb and I always go back to, and the reason I can say for a fact that I know he thinks of this, is whenever a guest comes on and we start talking too much, who's the first person that goes through your mind?
Our episode with Joel?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember you brought that up.
literally my closest friend, and he was just ad-libbing basically the whole time. He was like, that ain't even my real episode. We'll have my real one.
One of the things I wanted to bring up, because when you would send, so for anybody listening, Linda would send us her takes on certain topics during podcasts. It would either be the day after eventually started. She got busy and fell off. So
I'm like 4 podcasts behind right now. So
how many?
4.
You're keeping up, dude. You're doing pretty well.
I'm 24 behind, so you're good. But you would chime in on things, and one of the things that went through my head, just because as a guy, you don't think about this shit.
Oh, yes. Talked about this.
Yeah. See, Tub went and got water, but he pointed at me. Is whenever you go out, okay, so we'll go with the cat calling. We'll go with the fact that you've been fucking grabbed in public places.
Yeah.
Of all places, like in public is so fucking ballsy to me. Like you're out of your goddamn mind if you think that that's an okay thing to do.
Yeah.
That happens that often?
It happened a lot more when I was in college, just because I went out in those settings. You know how people that like to victim blame, they're like, oh, it's because you put yourself in those situations. It's like,
it's
I
what
went
you
to
were
a party.
wearing that caused her to get
Like,
raped.
listen, dude, I went to a party to hang out with my friends. That doesn't give you an excuse to fucking grab me. You know, like
it doesn't matter like what you're wearing, whenever you're wearing it. There's no fucking excuse to grab somebody.
Like you could be in a strip club and bitches could be walking past you butt ass naked.
Yeah,
doesn't mean you get to grab.
Exactly.
Bro.
Right. I mean,
dudes are better about that shit than they are at parties.
Seriously.
Like it's one of those things that I think people just. I don't even know what goes to their fucking head because I can't. I'm not trying to be like that hero, but like when I see that, I don't think, oh, I need to grab. I'm gonna check you out. I'm gonna be like, hey, you look really nice, but the grabbing shit's fucking weird. You're not gonna walk
up to a girl and just grab her boob.
Yeah,
you know?
that's
like,
so fucking weird, dude.
I think it's like they play it in their head over and over again that they're gonna like walk up and like grab some ass and the girl's just gonna like turn and like look them dead in the eyes like interested. And they think that over and over in their head and they're like, yeah, that's realistic.
They watch too much fucking unrealistic porn.
Yeah, and then they go in and then they go in for the kill and then it happens and they like it doesn't go the way it went in their head and they're like, well, I executed every point properly, so she didn't meet up to the situation in my head, therefore it's her fault.
I always get confused with like, what are they thinking in that moment? Like, even if you took it from the perspective of a dude that doesn't know how to approach women, right? Looked it up through porn, through YouTube, fucking self-help shit,
WikiHow.
Yeah, WikiHow. Like, you're gonna run into at least someone that says, hey dude, this isn't right. You have to know some point in your life. If you're in your 20s, you had to have heard somewhere that that's not right.
You know, there's a thing that happens a lot too when if something inappropriate goes on between friends, like whether we're really good friends or, you know, we like met each other through friends or like, you know, you meet up with friends at a nightclub or whatever and you meet them that night. Like if they do something inappropriate, their go-to apology is, sorry, I was drunk. And that's not a fucking excuse.
No, it's not.
I fucking hate it.
I never like once in my life have been so fucked up to the point where I'm just like, well, there goes all self-control.
Exactly. Thank you.
But even past that, it's like, I don't even have the like urge to like sexually assault. Like that's the
Yeah,
problem.
like,
It's not even like, even if all my urges like were just there on the table, it would still be like, you know, like, okay, make like maybe like an embarrassing move or be a little pushy, but never in a sense of like, I'll take what I want.
There was one time I completely blacked out, saw the blackout. I've blacked out many times, but I saw the blackout happening. And not once when I was that fucking drunk did I think, oh no, if I black out, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I know in my head, I'm like,
going to wake up in cuffs.
yeah, like I know I'm probably going to be loud and I'm probably going to be yelling and like jumping all over people and singing to music. But I'm not thinking like, oh no, am I going to touch a woman inappropriately? Like, I think, no, dude, that's fucking weird.
I think there are levels to it too, because they're like, there's like the, you know, like red level of like just going and just putting your hands wherever you want, and then there's also like the like medium yellow level where you're like, oh, excuse me, grab both hips, slide dick across ass, like full, oh, just let me get by real quick, there's no one else around, it's completely open, you can walk around 8 feet away and just, oh, let me get by.
That's so
you know,
fucking...
sometimes guys do that at clubs, you know, and sometimes people respond well to it, sometimes people don't, and I feel like that's where guys don't know where
that's a little different because it's in a club and like dancing is the atmosphere, and that move in particular is like literally one beat away from dancing on that person. But I mean, like if you're at a party and the kitchen's crowded, and your move is like, oh, let me get a little bit while I get past, like it's that shit where you see it and it's just like, ooh,
it has happened,
bro.
It has happened one too many times. I can share so many experiences with you, like you don't even know, like whether it's been a friend that I know that I'm close to, because you know the statistic for women being assaulted is usually a majority of the time someone that they know.
Really? Whoa, I didn't know.
I don't know the exact percentage of it, but I think it's more than 50%.
I believe
of the time that it's someone that they know.
I'm sure people think that they could get away with it more. They'd be more accepting since they're friends rather than like a total stranger, like cold market going into it.
Yeah. But I guess I'll share my last club experience. So I was at a club in LA. It was May.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad of a thing. I think I've gone to so many clubs, and situations have happened to me so many times where it's not like I'm a stop and freeze and don't know what to do kind of thing. It's just at the point where I just get so annoyed that I'm just like, you better fuck off or I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a better response, honestly.
So I was with my best friend Jenny at a club for her birthday. We got a table and we were all just sitting around. It was a majority of her guy friends. So the table was mostly guys. And then it was like maybe 3 or 4 girls or 4 or 5 girls, but majority it was guys.
Yeah.
And there was this guy that came up to me while I was texting and he was like, well, since you have your phone out, you might as well put my number in it. And I was like, haha, no, thank you. And I said it very nicely and stuff. And I thought he would walk away, but I was sitting at the edge of the table, so he wouldn't leave me alone. He was kind of talking, spitting in my face, and I could obviously tell he was drunk because he was spitting in my face, just getting so close. Yep. And I made eye contact
spitting in your face because he was talking.
Yeah, while he was talking, not
just
literally like.
No,
I just want to quit. I just you dumb bitch.
No,
let's try that again.
Spitting while talking. I'm sorry for needed to clarify.
I got you.
Yeah, but I looked across at the table and I was like making eye contact with one of my friends from high school, and I literally went like this, and I was like, you know, doing the cutting throat motion because you guys can't see. Yeah. But I was just like, you know, basically like, hey, help. Like this guy's
SOS.
fucking bothering me. Yeah. And he just looked at me and then he fucking looked away. And I was like annoyed at this point because literally group full of guys, a stranger talking to me, and it's very obvious with body language I'm not interested. And I literally stood up and I pushed him like off to the side out of my face, and I screamed at my guy friends and I was like, there are 10 guys at this table and there's a stranger talking to me and I'm clearly not interested and none of you guys are helping me. And I screamed that out loud for all of them to hear, and the guy was still standing next to me trying to talk to me.
So fucking.
Yeah.
How do you not get the goddamn hint?
Dude, you know what? Like, it's really easy to kind of get in someone else's head and kind of understand where they're coming from, but this is one of those things I cannot do. Like, I cannot grasp where it's coming from or why people are, like, why guys are doing it. And, like, it's the same thing with, like, I see that in the same category as like when you slide into girls' DMs and you're like, hey, beautiful, what's up? And then like she doesn't respond. And then like 2 days later, you're like, hi. And then like a week later, you're like, hey, you look good in your last post. And then like the girl will be like, oh no, thanks, I'm not interested. And it's like, fuck you, you ugly cunt. And then like blocked.
Yes,
and
exactly.
I'm like, I don't get it. Like I wish I understood it so I could like talk to the guy if it happens to one of my friends and be like, listen, bro, you don't need to do this. But I don't get it like at all. Any fiber of me just doesn't make sense. Like I've always been the type, like when I was single, if I were to like slide into girls' DMs, it'd be like how you doing? And then nothing in response, I'd be like, fuck, like to myself.
Yeah,
don't
like
tell any of the homies.
Right. And you just kind of, you either delete the message and move on. You just unfollow that. Like your shot was clearly, it wasn't made. Leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's it, dude. And the thing that blows my fucking mind is you're looking at someone, even if he's right next to you and hearing that, you might as well just say it to him directly. Like, I'm not interested. I can't say it any more clearly unless you want me to smack you across the face.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how else to make you go away.
Exactly.
What isn't? And then people are like, it's the alcohol. No, dude.
Yeah.
You're still, the motor skills are still there.
Exactly.
Deep-rooted problems.
Comprehension is still happening. You hear words like,
yeah, pretty sure if we got like who's a super like nice wholesome celebrity that you can think of off the top of your head,
Chris Pratt.
Yeah, if we got Chris Pratt just like plastered, I don't think he's going to go rape anyone.
That's my point. That's exactly like it depends upon the person.
Yeah, and so it's definitely not alcohol.
Like,
there isn't a drug. There isn't a I'm going to go assault someone drug. And if it is, it's not sexual assault.
My
It's
favorite
assault.
thing is when people think that they have to get someone drunk to get laid, or they have to get drunk to get laid. Like, hey, dude, if that's what you need, if you need that handicap, you clearly need to work on your own skills.
Yeah,
the
like
drinking's just the fun part.
It
like
obviously
that's not
like
the crutch.
helps like everyone open up and shit. So if there's someone who's like they would, but they're too like timid and everything, if you guys get drunk together, then duh, like the shit happens way easier. But when it's a requirement, like I get what you mean. When
like it's one thing to take someone out for drinks to loosen up and actually, help the conversation flow. For example, which I totally forgot. You want to grab those beers in the freezer?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Just because like when we started, right? You had nerves. Everybody that comes on that's never talked into a microphone, podcast, or just anything in general, like the nerves are there.
Yeah.
Well, depending upon the people, like if we were nervous too, fuck, dude, the alcohol is definitely going to help like relieve the nerves. But to use it,
they call it liquid courage for a reason.
right? But like when I think people use it as that, they might be twist off as a.
they are?
Oh yeah. So I think when people hear liquid courage, they think to themselves, oh, these are cold enough. Can you take the other 3 and put them in the fridge for me?
Yeah.
When people think about liquid courage, at least when I do, it's going to allow me to hit on the person. It's going to allow them to open up to actually wanting to sleep with me. Hey, dude, it's a fridge.
Yeah, it's not, hey, let's get so plastered that she's just going to want to sleep with me.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
create interest.
now I think like taking the edge off, that's perfectly fine. Like I said, that allows help with this. It's a perfect like,
because everyone's been in those situations where you hang out with someone and you both know you're interested, but no one wants to do like the embarrassing first move.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you get a few beers in you, and next thing you know, no one gives a fuck who made
so
the first
okay,
move.
yeah, I'll take that as a courage. By the way, cheers. Everybody.
Cheers, yeah.
Thank you for bringing this, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you
Well,
for
that's
having
good.
me.
Oh, I haven't
I
had
haven't
that in
had
a while.
Yeah, I
haven't
went
had
with the
that
safe
ever.
route and just shock top.
That's really fucking good, especially
it's
when
like
it's
creamy.
that cold. When it's warm, it's not.
Yeah.
When it's warm, it's
I
really
bet.
bad. As any beer is. But
yeah.
yeah, dude. So that
Going back to the alcohol thing, I have another story from that night, actually.
the same night.
Yes, the same night. So going back to the whole alcohol drinking thing, I was at the bar asking for water. I was getting a cup because they have water dispenser, so you just kind of get it yourself. And I was holding the water dispenser and I was about to walk away. This guy standing at the bar literally grabs my wrist and then he tries to force feed me his beer. Like he's holding a beer and he literally like tries to shove it into my mouth. And I like literally just smacked him and I was like, fuck off. And I just walked away because I was by myself, so I didn't have anyone around.
See, this is
Terrifying.
Yeah.
This is where
That's
I'm
literally terrifying. If a dude did that to me, I'd be fucking scared. I'd be like, what's in this? I'm going to fucking die.
And like even if your friend does that to you, you're like, whoa, like what are you trying to do here?
If it
versus
depends. If
no,
it's a
because
friend.
like the first reaction, if I came up on the side of you and just shoved the bottle in your mouth, you're gonna back up, like you know that's gonna catch you off guard.
Yeah.
a complete fucking stranger.
complete stranger,
Yeah.
I'm terrified.
So
Yeah.
at that point, I'm swinging. I don't care.
Yeah.
So that is actually a point that I wanted to touch on is you handle things the proper way where you take it and just go fuck it. Like
You put it in their face.
You put it in their face.
Yeah.
You push back. You fucking make sure they know. You yell. You get everybody's
Yeah.
attention.
Rather than
And
oh,
there-
he stop.
Right. There are some girls, or they don't say anything and like don't know how to handle that situation because it's got to be terrifying, dude.
Yeah, I bet.
See, that's the thing though, because when people are put in that situation, I'm not saying that it's because it's from experience that I react the way I do now, but if it's a complete stranger like that, like it just makes me mad. Like it makes me scared too, just because, you know, guys are stronger than me.
Yeah.
Like I was bigger than me. Like I could have easily, like he could have done something to me, but I just wanted to get out of the situation, which is why I like, you know, smacked him and like ran away. But then, you know, when I tell people about the situation after, they're like, you should have punched him in the face. Like if I was there, I would have kicked his ass.
Oh,
It's like,
I love it.
no.
If
It's
I
like-
was their thing.
yeah, but it's like, you know, you weren't there and I
Yeah.
handled it my way. Like, don't tell me what I should have done.
You know,
Yeah,
like
like
how
I'm
many-
here. I clearly did something
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, you know how many drunk assholes who aren't afraid to sexually assault a girl aren't afraid to hit a girl either?
Yeah.
You think the line stops when they with their dick?
Yeah,
Exactly.
They're gonna start
Fuck
swinging.
no. If
Yeah.
a dude who's drunk off his ass and has no problem with like forcing himself on a girl gets popped in the nose out of nowhere, you think that instant animal rage is not gonna get loose? Like it's such a bad idea
Yeah.
to do that. You should only really go that route if you're like, this is do or die. If I don't do something now, I have no chance. And then you're like, all right, all out assault. But at the beginning of the like event, if that's what you want to call it, can't think of a better word. There's so many ways to play it. There's so many avenues to go
Yeah.
before it comes down to like, okay, fight for my life.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
why okay, so there's a joke in my family called the rule curse, where all the rule boys, because my sister is my half sister, so she doesn't have the curse. But my dad had all boys, and all the boys that have had kids so far have all boys.
Sounds like a blessing to me.
I don't know, dude. It's gonna be a fucking just
Joel has
rage
the
fest
bond
when they
curse.
get older, which is all girls.
All girls.
Except for him.
His sister just had twins, and the gender reveal was 2 girls.
Jesus, man. But what I was going to say is, like, if I somehow end up having a daughter, sons too, like, you got to, first of all, they got to learn how to fight.
Oh,
You got to learn how to fight. I wish I was raised to learn how to fight. My brothers beat the shit out of each other, like, when they were younger, just because that's what you do when you grow up and you're in the same age. It's just all fucking rage and hormones going ballistic. So they know how to handle their own. Like, but for the most part. I mean, they're probably going to listen and be like, oh, dude, come on now. Actually, side note, my brother Steven brought up to me. I went over to his house yesterday, and the second thing he says to me, he goes, hey, what's up, dude? So what's up with that comment on the last podcast? Apparently the way I said something, I just want to clear it up for anybody else listening. When we were talking to Caleb, we were explaining how when you learn that your parents aren't always right, and I learned that very early on. And I said, like, my mom wasn't around, my dad doesn't know what he's talking about. Those were jokes. Obviously my dad knows some things, but you start to realize those certain things. And then I said, my brothers fucked up. So I was learning from like their things. They thought I said that they were fuck ups. And I was like, no. And dude, he like for 20 minutes we were going back and forth.
Get fucked up?
And so we went back to the, I just want to clear that up for anybody listening. My brothers had fuck ups that I was learning from as I was growing up. But like they know how to fight a little bit because my brother Steven knows how to fight for sure. I know that. And
Because he beat my ass after the comment.
that's funny. But I think that like girls definitely need to know how to, okay, for example, you get your wrist grabbed, right?
Yeah.
In that moment, you should
fucking snap
you
his elbow.
should know how to like, okay, so if you were to grab, just really quick, grab my wrist.
Like this.
Yes, you
we're
should
getting
be
a
able
live,
to snatch it back like that so that you can grab their wrist back. There's a certain movement that you can do. Just things like that to get out of certain situations.
From there,
if
it's
you
a
have
straight headbutt.
yeah. Oh, dude, if they have your wrist,
Yeah.
pull their arm, since they're already locked on, pull their arms, fucking slam your head.
You both knock out.
You should. Hey, at least nothing happened though.
Your friends walk up, hey, Linda's fucked up.
Why is her nose bleeding? Who's that guy?
Oh, she's really fucked up.
But in those moments, you got to have some type of self-defense.
See,
And
there's-
that's why I said you handle it properly, at least verbally, where you start yelling, where
Yeah.
it's like, somebody fucking look.
Yeah. But that's the thing. You can be fully prepared, trained to do all of that, like react the right way. But when girls are put in that situation, or even guys, like if they're put in a scary situation like that, there's that fight there, the fight or flight. There's also freeze. And like when people get scared, like sometimes they can't react.
And that's a totally valid answer. And I'm not saying that if you know how to fight, you know how to get out of any situation. Yeah. I'm stating it's just a nice backup to have.
It is.
Because it's even more dangerous if you don't know how to fight versus if you did.
Yeah, or if you don't have any type of instant like pushback.
Yeah. And I mean, you learned yours over time. You didn't pick up your first time. You probably fucking froze. Was just like, did that really just happen? Like, do you remember?
I'm 24 now, so it's been a while since I can remember the first time. The first personal experience that I can remember happening with a friend, it was one of those, like, haha, stop. But it's kind of hard to be in a situation like that because, if say you're at a party with just a bunch of group of friends that you're close to, but then one of them decides to make a move on you and you're like totally not interested, like, you can tell them on the side, like, hey, please don't touch me. But then it's like, I always think in the back of my head, if I were to tell someone like, hey, can you not do that because I'm uncomfortable? It makes them so self-conscious and insecure. They're just like, oh,
it
fuck.
Affects
like
the friendship.
Yeah. And then I don't want to make them feel like that while we're at a party. And it's like, why do I have to feel bad for making someone feel like that if they're making me uncomfortable too?
That's exactly the point.
It's always,
you try to like look for that subtle way of rejecting them.
And, and you're trying to find the balance between like embarrassment versus making yourself comfortable again because you don't want to just take all the fall. It is one of those tricky things.
Yeah.
Because there's a relationship.
That's where you would hope it, depending on the person, that they can take that kind of stuff. I've been rejected and literally after being rejected when, okay, that's fine. How was your day? Like, you can go along with it nicely versus like shutting down and not talking to the person.
Yeah. See, and that's where you can't use like the aggressive, like, hey, fuck off because you're friends. That's where you have to use, like, not interested.
You fucked my friend. I know how bad you are.
I mean, sometimes like I'm pretty honest and I'm pretty blunt like that. Sometimes I'm not the kind of person that will just scream like fuck off at a party, but like I'll tell people, straight up like what it is, like it is.
And that's the one of the safer routes.
By the way, I don't ever know how guests are. I know when I get cold, I know we have all the fans going. If you get cold,
oh no, I'm fine.
Okay,
it's hot as balls in the AV, man.
It's so fucking hot out here. It was 106 the other day when I got my car. I was like, there's no way.
It was supposed to be 103 today. It probably is outside.
I don't get it either because it was like a late onset of the sun deciding it wanted to get hot. Because dude, it fucking rained last week.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk about you liking summer and how I'm totally against summer? I'm such a winter person.
Summer.
Like he always K-Tub always tweets about, oh my god, summer's the best weather or summer's the best season ever. If you disagree, you can fuck off. Well, K-Tub, you can fuck off because summer fucking sucks. Okay.
I love your voice for this.
I love it so much more. Like being able to like one of my like most common arguments for it is like, okay, if the weather sucks during the day, you can go out in the night and the weather's beautiful.
That is where I will agree with him.
But if the weather sucks during the day in winter, you're fucked for nighttime.
You also have to understand out in the AV.
Yeah.
The
you get bad winters.
Are like brutally cold because of the wind chill.
Okay, true.
Yeah, where it's 30, if it's like 36, it will say 36 feels like 20. It's fucking cold.
That's true.
So if it were like, dude, if we didn't have wind, I fucking wouldn't ever let go of the argument.
It's not bad at all without the wind. Some years are really bad, and some years are.
It even snows out here sometimes, right? Like or like it used to.
It snowed this year.
It snowed this year because the winter was bad.
Like barely. Like Palmdale and Lancaster are actually slightly different in elevations. A lot of Palmdale's a little bit higher, so sometimes
Palmdale will get snow.
Sometimes it'll stick for them. Like we're at the perfect line to where Lancaster won't stick.
The freeway that you took to get here, the 14. The last time that I was driving home from, I think, a work day or a wedding or something, it was actually snowing and they were shutting down certain lanes.
Wow.
And then you get about 5 or 10 miles into that freeway back into Lancaster, nothing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not even raining.
Yeah, sometimes it won't even be like any precipitation.
And then it's snowing literally 10 miles away.
Okay.
So it's odd because of the mountains and whatnot.
We're at such a weird like line of where the weather shifts.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I like the summer way more. And I feel like you know, it's cool too living in Southern California and living within a reasonable distance from the beach, because it could be like 103 out here, and then you could go down to 80-degree weather at the coast and enjoy a nice day at the beach. But if it's winter and it sucks here, it also sucks at the coast. Right.
Well, okay, I guess I understand your argument now, just because you do get those cold winters. But I'm from the San Gabriel Valley, like, you know, where Pasadena Rose Bowl area is, the 626 night market. Yeah, so I'm from that area, so it doesn't get to like 30 degrees when it's winter time. But when it gets hot in the summer, it's humid and there's mosquitoes everywhere.
Oh, so you I totally get it. Like out
Yeah.
here, our winters sometimes, like at nighttime, it's gotten in like negative. Like it gets it gets fucking cold, like below freezing.
Like summers in Washington, nice.
Yeah,
They can be very nice. Like,
I bet it's humid too, though.
it's humid, but it's still relatively cold. Like in Seattle, it's nice weather from what I remember. But the winters out there, I remember opening my car door and it like the ice cracking off of the car because it had rained and then it froze.
Yeah, and see, like maybe like say I live like in the Midwest, maybe my opinion would be a little different, because humidity being at 100% in the Midwest, you open the door and it feels like you're breathing in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Whereas out here it's dry, so it's nicer. Like the humidity doesn't kick in as much. Like we barely get humidity out here, and if we do, it's because it rained the other day.
Yeah.
So I guess when you're thinking about the two extremes on the sides, it's like, would you rather winter with like 30 degrees, it feels like 20, it's got the wind chill, and maybe you got pants and a t-shirt, shorts and a t-shirt, or the summer where it's 106, the sun's beating on you at 2:00 in the afternoon, and you're wearing like a dress shirt and fucking slacks?
I would still prefer winter, without a doubt. I don't know. Like, there's just
I go back and
there's
forth.
just something about it, because in winter you can layer up. But then
that's what I always
when
said.
it's in the summer, you can't strip down butt ass naked and it'll still be hot, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
see, the counter argument to that is, at least in the summer, you can go to someone's house who has a pool and then just hop in and do that.
I can't
There's no
swim,
like
so-
pool equivalent.
Yeah,
to,
like in the summer, if
Like
you go in the shade, it's 20 degrees cooler than it is in the sun.
Yeah.
But in the winter, that bitch is following you everywhere you go.
Yeah,
True.
and like if you have a pool in the summer, you can hop in the pool, cool off, and it's great. And suddenly a hot day becomes fun. But in the winter, if you want to like light a bonfire, unless you are like 20 inches away from that thing, you are fucking freezing. I hate that shit. Like you go inside, and it's so much easier, I feel like, to cool off than it is to warm up again. Like I feel like it takes forever to warm up. And you have to like bundle up and get in sheets and everything and warm up.
I kind of like
But
it.
if you walk into like let's say like Costco in summer and it's like perfectly air conditioned, you'll cool off pretty quick.
okay, but you want me to go to Costco every single day?
I'm not saying Costco. I'm saying anywhere with a good air conditioning
I mean,
system.
this is where
I wouldn't say Nick's Place, because Nick's Place won't cool off as easy.
Yeah.
Also, the pool thing, I can't swim. So, and I'm also not a fan of the beach, because when I go into the water and I come back in the sand, I got sand everywhere, like up
Yeah.
my crack,
Yeah.
all over my body and my hair. Like,
Yeah.
I love the beach. I like looking at the beach. I don't like being in the water. That's my thing.
Right.
I'm living in a terrible place. I don't know why I live in SoCal.
It's like the worst
Yeah,
place for you.
when you put in your
My perspective.
your perspective, of course I would understand.
It's like, the fuck is she doing living out here?
yeah, can't swim, hate the sand, fuck this place.
Because weddings are outside. I had 2 weddings back to back this weekend, and they were both in the fucking sun. And I remember during ceremonies, you have the camera, and for the way my boss does videos, it's a lot of just standing there, getting one shot of their faces, so you can't move, and you're standing still in jeans and a dress shirt, an undershirt, and high socks, and you're just cooking.
Oh, I
and
bet.
there's a little bit of wind, but not enough to where you're not panicking at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
And then I've also been in where a storm was literally just rolling in right as the ceremony ended, and we were so fucking cold with jackets on that I couldn't even hold the camera straight, so I would have to get the shot and not touch it because I was
Dude.
shaking that
Wow.
much. So it's like extreme colds and extreme heats. I don't like either. They both make me freak the fuck out. I'd much, and the argument is always winter or summer. Fuck you. Where's spring and fall? Those exist.
Well,
I like
because spring and
those.
fall is enjoyable, so no one wants to debate that shit.
I'll take them
It's
both.
the person. It's like, oh, do you like peanut butter or jelly? And that loser goes, poof. Yeah, we ain't talking about both.
No, that's not the same at all.
It is the same, because you're immediately picking
No,
the easy
because-
one. If
because-
someone had all of the seasons up, of course everyone's going to
True.
pick spring.
Right.
True.
And that's
Wait,
a given. Spring or
But-
fall.
Okay.
One of the two, because those are the more temperate, like easy, nice, chill ones.
True.
When we're debating it, we're
You have to
debating the
compare.
extremes on purpose.
Yes.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Spring used to be my favorite weather until I developed allergies. And then this year
dude,
with the
just-
rain, my
you just
allergies
fucked
are
the earth.
insane.
Oh, dude.
Like I'm only allergic to pollen. So like if I go from like, from my area to here, like
Yeah.
if I didn't take my allergy medicine.
Oh, you mean Poppy Central?
Yeah, then
Dude.
my allergies would be crazy right now.
It was so bad that my headaches, migraines that I would always talk about,
Yeah, I remember.
they're mostly gone. I think it was how much it was raining. Like the doctor said, he's like, I think it might have been how much rain and how much kicked up that was causing you to be like extremely irritated. You're like, no, it's impossible. I'm in Washington.
Oh, your ear story with the whole surgery thing?
yeah.
Random, but since we're talking about weather and stuff, I actually went deaf in one ear for like a couple of weeks because of allergies.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
I went
Did
to the
it, like,
doctor.
clog?
Yeah, I went to the doctor and I was like, oh, I need to get my ear drained or something because I thought it was like earwax or something. And he looked in my ear and he was like, yeah, you're basically going deaf because of allergies. So he made
God damn!
yeah, he was like, you need to take steroids. So I took steroids for like a week just for the allergies
Yeah.
to like not make me
What
deaf.
did he say was going on in the
He
ear?
said that there's something about the eardrum that was like swelling. I don't remember.
The eardrum itself was swelling?
I don't know if it was the eardrum
No, it's
exactly.
probably
It was
the
like
canal.
something like that. It was like 2 years ago, so I don't really remember.
I mean, what if it was the eardrum?
If it was the eardrum, I'm pretty sure
it'd be fucking
I don't think she'd
I'd be
really
dead.
deaf.
One thing that like is big, at least I know for you, that you talk about quite a bit, at least, well, when I say quite a bit, your weight loss.
Oh, yes.
Dude, that's impressive as fuck.
Yes, it
Oh, thank
is.
you.
Yes, it's like some people post their weight loss and it's like, oh, that's a good start, you know. But yours is like, oh shit, like you fucking did something.
Thank you. Okay, so I guess
Give the rundown for people who have no idea.
yeah, so basically, let's start from I guess when I was a kid. When I was a kid, I was always the chubby one. Like, Asians usually have a smaller build, they're skinnier.
Yeah.
But within my family, we are like literally big boned. So, we're heavier set. My parents always told me to always like finish my bowl, clean up my plate whenever like we ate something because they don't want to waste food. My parents are both refugees and immigrants from Cambodia, even though I'm Chinese.
Whoa.
Yeah. So my mom was a refugee, my dad was an immigrant, and they basically, they didn't have food out there. So they basically raised me and my sister to, eat whenever we could, even
Yeah.
if we weren't hungry, like finish the plate. So that's basically what I went into college with, the mentality of always finishing my food and stuff.
So the caloric intake
Freshman
was
15, all the
yeah.
weight gain throughout college. And then basically last year, that was when I started my crisis of like not knowing what I wanted to do with myself. So it was kind of like stress eating
Yeah.
and then gained like, I don't know how many pounds, but I lost 20 to 25 pounds from January to like April.
No shit.
So it was
Damn,
like a drastic
that's
change.
a lot in a short
Yeah.
amount of time.
Yeah,
Was
because
it just changing your eating habits and working out or what?
yes, because I used to work out a lot. I did a lot of like insanity workouts. Have you heard of that?
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like it's like P90X ish,
Yeah.
Shit
but just
messes
only
you
cardio.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I basically did all of that. I did that and I also went to the gym and I also went on like counting calories, calorie
Do you
deficit.
like count macros and stuff?
No, just calories.
Okay.
Yeah. Macros is more of if you want to build muscle and stuff,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, but I also know that just like as long as you avoid like if you can see that fat gives more caloric intake than carbs and protein, then you'll be better off.
What I've learned throughout the weight loss process though is just counting your calories is the most important because I've seen a lot of people do like people can live off of fast food and still lose weight. Like they could eat like just a burger and fries for a day and literally that be it and they could lose weight.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because of the calories in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You won't have a lot of energy.
Yeah, basically. But that's kind of what I wanted to switch my major into. I was interested in going into like nutrition
Oh, no
and
shit.
going into that because from the weight loss pictures that I posted on Twitter, like I got kind of like a lot of messages from girls and they're like, oh, like I have problems with binge eating. Like I don't know how to work out and like they don't know about food. And I've realized like a lot of people don't know about food. They don't know about nutrition. They don't know about
Dude,
whole
yeah.
foods. They don't know what whole foods are.
Yeah.
And
For a while, I used to think calories and carbs were the same thing. Like
Yeah, exactly.
I totally didn't differentiate them just because they both started with CA and it was like, it has to do with food.
same thing. Exactly. Yeah. And I realized so many people are so uneducated about what they need or like what they should be eating if they want to feel better, I guess. Because, when you eat like shit, you feel like shit sometimes. And then when I went from like eating healthy to like sometimes eating junk food, like I would literally get heartburn from eating like.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Fucking same.
Yeah.
I never understood why. I'm like, fuck, man. This like fucking
It's like,
Taco
what is
Bell's
this
fucking
pain
me
in
up.
my heart that it can't make me
It's like,
breathe?
the bottom of my esophagus is burning. Is that normal?
Yeah, exactly. And I think I just want to go into that just I want to go into nutrition just to educate other people about it, I guess. It's something I'm interested in.
I definitely fucking ship that.
Yeah, but
I think that personally fascinates the fuck out of me. I spend a lot of time during work listening to videos about like the science of nutrition and like learning about shit like different types of diet and ketosis and all that fascinating shit. And
how serious is that idea for you, though?
it's serious in my head, but it's just the amount and time it's going to take to go back to school. Because if I want to be a registered dietitian, I have to go back to school. And then I also have to do like a year's worth of internship. And that's just a lot of money that I don't know where I'm going to get from.
And a lot of time, too.
Exactly.
Because how many more years would you have to go back for? 4?
Depending on the school, like to get a completely different degree, probably 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because your degree doesn't bleed into that at all, does it?
It's just business economics. Like I literally just took econ classes just to get a degree, honestly.
Well, how much of the time spent was gen ed?
I didn't spend too much time on gen ed actually, so maybe it depends on the classes or the school. Like I was looking into going into Arizona State, like online or something, but I think in California, in order to be a registered dietitian, there's a specific list of schools you can go to in order to do that. So I'm still looking into it now. So
yeah, because I always thought it was like 1.5 to 2 years was gen ed, and then if you wanted to switch it up, you had at least like 2 years.
I think it would take 3 just with the whole year of the internship too.
Oh, putting that in account. Yeah, that makes more sense. Yeah, okay, definitely.
I mean, I think what the thing is like you said, you don't want to end up doing something you don't want to do. And if that's something that interests you, why not? At least even give it a shot. You could plan for a 4-year thing and a year in actually find out what you want to do. That's what. So I am completely against college if you don't need it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I went to college because I was kind of
I didn't need it.
Not forced to, but it was a situation of go to college or pay rent. And at the time I was working at a yogurt shop. So it's either work at a yogurt shop and pay rent and just exist.
Do you accept rent in Reese's toppings and sour apple?
And so it was one of those like this or that. And I ended up just going to college just because, and I started taking classes. And then my last semester, which I only did 4 semesters, I took an intro to photography and then a multimedia like video editing class. And after that, dropped out of college. I knew exactly what I wanted to do, and now I'm at where I'm at now.
It's a good tool.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is college is good if you absolutely don't know what you need to do and you want to get some ideas. Yeah. And you have, some money and you want to get some knowledge and learn a little bit and actually spend your time doing something wisely rather than you can do YouTube, but you can also just go to college and sit in a class and just meet people. It's like going to a meeting and randomly meeting people and learning what their careers are, stuff like that. So what I was going to say is for you have your degree, but if you were to just go to college for, I don't know, just take another semester and take random interesting classes, maybe fall in love with fucking sculpture. I don't know, like random shit, and end up getting the inspiration and the motivation to follow into a certain field and then build from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was me whenever I had cause in order to qualify for certain financial aid, sometimes you have to be full time. And so whether it would be an elective or just filling the final spot in my semester, I would fill it with psychology when I could.
Yeah.
And if psychology didn't have the requirements of schooling and low pay that it did, it definitely would have been a huge candidate for what I would pick for a major and a career. But just the overall future of it just didn't look very promising, so I didn't stick with it, but it's super fascinating, and that was really easy to just take an intro class and find interest.
One thing I think people always forget is, okay, what's your degree in specifically again?
Business economics.
Okay, so the thing that I think people always forget is you get a degree and your instant reaction is, okay, I got to find a job, got to find something within the field and just do that. What you can do, especially in the age that we're in now, the way people go about their jobs, like mine, for example, I am on a salary and I work whatever days my boss puts me on, but it's not that many days a week. It's a great schedule and it's a random fucking job that I found.
Yeah.
You can do YouTube. I know plenty of people that do YouTube and there are people that fucking, let's just use David Dobrik as an example. David Dobrik makes dumb fucking videos that are fun to watch, that are 4 minutes and 20 seconds long, which is just because that's the whole point, and makes millions, dude, and buys cars all the time, right? So what I was getting at is when you get out of college and you have your degree, if you can't find a job within the field, pick up a fucking camera or a microphone and make something out of it, dude.
Well, is that not what you
do? That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's what I did last year. I was like, oh, let's find something to do with my free time.
Yeah.
So I started doing YouTube. The big thing back then was, mukbangs, like people eating in front of a camera. I fucking hated doing that shit. But literally now, I'm getting thousands of views now, and people are commenting on that shit now. And
and that's a perfect example. What were you doing during? Well, okay, so if anybody doesn't, they're mukbangs.
Mukbang. It's like the Korean word for eating broadcast, because people used to live stream that in Korea. They would live stream them eating, and then people would chat with them.
Right.
So that was how it originated. But now people do YouTube videos where they just
ASMR.
talk in front of a camera, make the noises when they eat and stuff, and
then just give whatever information, and people love it.
Yeah.
So
and your videos are still getting activity.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll ever post a mukbang ever again. Or maybe I'll do one like a clickbait of my last mukbang ever, but I don't know.
But I totally forgot that you do YouTube. Did you ever do anything within your field where you were like? Because what I was getting at is you take your degree, if you can't find a job in the meantime,
and do like an econ YouTube channel.
Teach. Because if you take your knowledge,
yeah,
right?
it's gonna be like, oh, why do you get to tell me how this works? It'd be like, degree, bitch.
Yeah, true.
Right, and that's
debt, bitch.
That's the point. Is like I took my time, my money, and now I'm taking my knowledge and giving it to people in a form that you can actually understand. That won't take you 4 fucking years. It's the same thing with camera equipment and the people that I watch. The main guy that got me into vlogging before I fell out of it was Peter McKinnon. The guy picked up a camera, did it for 4 or 5 videos, put it down, and his family was like, just keep doing it. Like, it's actually really good. And in 8 months got 1 million followers. I think it was 7 or 8 months. Now it's it's like 2 years in, and he's at 3.4 million. His living is made off of YouTube. He quit his full-time job and all shit like that. He didn't go to school. He just learned, he was just sharing his knowledge and the tips and tricks he learned. So like with you could take that knowledge and do just, how to run. I don't know if it's like business that can fall into it, like how to run a business or how to do this with the degree or this knowledge or whatever.
Literally
and share
any
it.
one of your lessons in your book and then add for dummies at the end of the title and you'll get fucking views.
Those for dummy books fucking sold like hotcakes, dude.
Yeah, of course.
My brother even came and dropped them off about how to buy homeowners for dummies because he thought we were buying a house. He didn't know we were renting.
Because he thought we were dummies.
And it's a rundown of literally how to own a house and do it properly. And all the loopholes
explained
behind
in
it.
a simplistic view.
Right. Versus when you go into a class and you fucking fall asleep because it's so boring, make it interesting. You add all the little blips that pop up, it's After Effects stuff and whatnot, how crazy that can get. But you add all these different things in the video that entertain people. There are history channels, there are photography channels, there's music.
You could do a breakdown of a business econ topic while doing a mukbang.
Dude, and that sounds ridiculous, but motherfuckers would eat it up.
That's the thing.
You'd be like talking about supply and demand with crawfish.
I would hate it. Like, see, that's the thing. I'm not interested in my major at all. My major is business economics because I wanted to go into business administration, but I couldn't get into the major because at my school, I went to UC Irvine. It was a very new major. And so they were really picky about accepting people into that major. So I literally just got a degree just to get a degree.
Yeah.
Like I did it
and you
to
got the
please my
safe
parents.
degree, which is the business degree.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know because that's the route I was taking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I did it to please my parents. I did it to put it on my resume.
Speaking to me.
Yeah, like I put it on my resume. So what? Like, did I learn anything from it? I worked throughout college too. I did a lot of internships where I was unpaid. I did a lot of social media marketing. I originally wanted to do marketing or advertising, but then I fell into the niche of social media marketing because, people were still learning about it back then. Like a lot of the people that were hiring from companies, they needed someone younger that understood how to use Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff.
Whoever's running Wendy's is making bank.
I know. I want to run one of those Twitters, but I wanted to work for Taco Bell corporate because it's in Irvine. Yeah. I applied for a position and I didn't get it. And I don't know. I just, it just goes to show that you can have a college degree and you can have 4+ years of work experience and still be struggling. So if anyone,
it's like, it also comes down to like how many people also did the same thing.
Exactly.
Right. But the thing is, do you think that you're falling out of an interest in it because you're not getting lucky and landing those jobs?
No, because the reason why I quit my full-time job and went back to school was because I figured maybe I'm not interested in it because I don't know enough. So when I went back to get my marketing certificate just to learn more, I was falling out of interest when I was in school too. And I was like, this is boring. I'm so bored. Like all the classes I took, I was like, I have good professors at this school. I was just a community college, but they were professors that cared about, what they were teaching. And I was just bored. And I just
if it's not
didn't
for
know
you,
what
it's
to do.
not for you. Like, that's the
But
thing
nutrition
too.
interests you.
Yes, it does.
Like actually something that you really want to do.
Yeah, I feel like my knowledge helping other people with this would be more interesting to me and more satisfying.
Right.
Because, when you do a job, it should be satisfying too, or like something that you should enjoy.
And you have personal experience tied to it as
Yeah.
well.
So I feel
the reason
like
why I bring it up is just due to the fact, or the reason why I say it the way that I do is like, do you have, is because sometimes people will just ask that question and then you'll give whatever answer and they're like, oh yeah, go for it. But you have to hear yourself say it. You have to hear yourself say why you're actually interested in the things that you want to do. And then if there's actually like a genuine answer behind it, then I'll be like, yeah, go, like do that then. If that's something that you're interested in, I don't see the problem. Like you're investing in yourself. Like you have to take your money and spend money to earn money, that kind of thing, and invest in yourself and then build from that point forward. And like you said, you have an interest in it because it worked for you.
Yeah.
And dude, I would 100% back that.
Most of it's not a coincidence that people, for the majority of the time, whenever they get themselves involved with something that's a passion or something that is a career or something that they see like a really good cause in, it's not a coincidence that the majority of the time there's a personal connection. Like if you went to a walk, like a 5K for cystic fibrosis, how many of those people doing that walk do you think have a personal relationship with someone who has or has been affected by cystic fibrosis? Yeah, there's not very many of those random people that just like stumbled across what cystic fibrosis was and decided that they were going to like get involved and devote their life towards it. Like majority of people usually have that personal relation to the subject at hand and then use that as their fire, as their passion that drives them forward.
Right.
And so like same thing with you as with me, we don't have any direct link to marketing.
Yeah.
So there's not really that burning passion for marketing.
What's even funnier is like when I went to school, my major was business management. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what does this
we're all in the
mean?
same boat.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's the please the parents, good major to get any job in any company. Blah,
exactly.
blah,
But the one thing that every business owner will tell you is that business degree is fucking meaningless because you can just learn that shit along the way.
Exactly.
There are people that have started multi-million-dollar companies that didn't touch school other than high school once in their life.
Hell yeah.
And it's like you can learn that along the way, dude. Like I took that one photography class and that one multimedia class, and now I do that for a living because I just dude, YouTube is the fucking
YouTube's a gold mine. Man. I could go off about that shit. I listen to YouTube more than I listen off the podcast app or Spotify. Like the majority of my time, there's headphones in my head. YouTube. I pay for the premium shit. Like that's
how
you pay for that.
Yes, I do.
Wow.
And it's fucking worth it because I have to listen to. I can't watch videos, so I listen to it with my phone locked. Like
right,
the
because
whole
that's
time.
the only reason.
Listen to it with my phone locked. I don't get ads.
Yeah.
I get to download videos offline if I want to. Like I actually use the membership, like all the features of it. So it's worth it. I get a bang for my buck.
Side note, I've said this a lot myself. I've heard a lot of people say it, but for some reason in the past year, it's like stood out to me. Offline is not a thing. Like that's not a word. That's not like like online is its own word. You have to say like off online. Like when you say offline, like that's not an actual like. From my understanding, if you're online, right?
Yeah.
No, because I don't even know if that actually works. When you say offline, is that even? I don't think that's a thing.
It used to be when AIM existed, like AOL.
Comes up on Merriam-Webster dictionary as a word.
Offline is a thing.
It's not like
offline, not controlled by or directly connected to a computer external network.
Interesting. Never mind.
Adjective.
Totally fucking misunderstood that.
You know when people used to use screen like AIM,
yeah,
like
when you said
messaging,
that, the second you said that, I went, oh yeah,
like,
you
that person's offline right now. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like the only time I've ever really heard it being used
Just
often.
the antonym to online.
I think I read something wrong then. I totally fucking read it wrong. And
You
then
lost me for a second.
Yeah, for like a full
I-
year in my head, I'm like, that's
I was
so
like, I'm
dumb.
not buying this at all. I need to check it.
We'll go back like 15 seconds and wish I never said that. No. But I just, with YouTube and knowledge and degrees in general, it's like you can go to college for all those years, get that knowledge, and then make a fucking living off of it just by putting a camera in front of you and talking about it.
Yeah. You can learn a lot of stuff on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Dude, there's this guy that I follow on YouTube who went to college, got a philosophy degree, and was like, I can't get a job with this. And so using all of the classes that he took and all the stuff that he collected through the books that he read and everything, started making videos about philosophy or making scripts and then writing them like super beautifully wrote pieces and putting some type of like background and everything, and has hundreds of thousands of subscribers. And that's his job because he got a philosophy degree, found out how to write really well, and just fucking combined them and made bank.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy that as long as there's an interest for it, then, and you put it out to the public in a time where it's the easiest to put it out to the public, then you'll find traction.
What exactly is your YouTube channel?
So last year it was like the whole mukbang thing,
Yeah.
but it kind of just turned into me vlogging whenever I want. And
Is that what the Vegas trip was? That on your
yeah,
channel?
yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I just like to do YouTube for fun. Like ever since I was in middle school, I was always interested in video editing. When I was in high school, I wanted to actually do YouTube, even though I didn't know what I was doing. But that was like the thing in high school. Like everyone wanted to start a YouTube channel.
Right.
But my sister actually stopped me from that because she was like, there's going to be creepy people and weirdos on the internet. Like you don't know where they're going to find you and stuff.
But
And
they're
I'm like,
also in clubs.
exactly.
Zinger.
I know my sister's going to be listening to this. So, this is my sister's fault that I'm not YouTube famous.
sister's
I blame it on her because I really wanted to start
You
a
could have
YouTube
hopped
channel.
on in like 2010.
Yes, exactly. And I could have been YouTube
could have been
famous.
huge by this
I
point.
know, yeah. Like, the channels like Nika Higa inspired me back then in middle
Oh my
school.
God,
With like the
you're giving me
ridiculous skits.
flashbacks.
Yeah. And then when I got to high school, transitioned to me wanting to be like a makeup guru and stuff.
Yeah.
But like the video editing process is so fun to me. I just don't know what to do with it. Like
Right.
I would bring it into like social media marketing and stuff when I could, but it wasn't always there for me. So now I just do it for editing vlogs and stuff. So
Yeah.
my channel isn't really anything to me, like for me to get famous off of anymore. It's just kind of, I want to do it just
There
for memories.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, like I had a whole 2018 recap video that like made everyone so emotional apparently because it had like all of the memories of me recording things. Like
Yeah.
I was always the person that had the camera out that always recorded everything, or like, wait, let me Snapchat this, and I'd bring out my phone.
You
and
were a gem to any
Yeah.
friend group.
I know I can tell people get annoyed sometimes, but I'm like, if I'm not gonna do
worth
it, who's gonna do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
And you
need that.
know what? I should have clicked the two in my head. Now it makes way more sense because I totally forgot about the YouTube aspect of you. But when you would post up on, I think it's mostly on the Linder's account.
Yeah.
It was, how to perfectly start and end each video,
Like the
each
time
clip. Because normally when you see like tiny little dots above people's Instagram stories, you're like, I'm not fucking watching that.
Yeah.
Because I already know it's going to take way too long. With yours, I'm like, oh, these are like 3 to 5 seconds each.
Yeah.
And it's like, it gets to the point, it cuts, it's done. I was like, oh,
you post
shit.
vines.
Yeah, basically.
They're perfect. They're perfectly cut snippets. And I actually, there was one day, it was all the little dots at the top.
Yeah, I was
watched
reminiscing.
like 3 just to see because I give people the benefit of the doubt. And I watched all of them because I was
you
like, oh,
did?
dude, this is entertaining. It was like how, David Dobrik's
Yeah.
videos. Do you?
I've seen some of them.
It's getting to the point. It's starting it on the right moment, ending it on the right moment, and then it goes to the next clip.
Yeah.
It's exactly how yours were, where it showed there was one, I think you looked at someone that was dancing with a bottle in their hand and then looked back to someone passed out on the floor, looked back to them dancing, passed out on the floor, zoomed in, it was done. I was like, that's it. That's all you need to understand for that
I know
one
exactly
clip.
what video you're talking about.
And that's what I'm talking about is that's every clip and they don't take a full 10. Well, now it's 15 seconds, I believe, for a clip. Whereas like mine, I know that I would guarantee people fly through mine because I'll do like a pan of where I'm at, but it's because I want to look back and realize where I was.
Yeah, half the time it's for yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just so I can save it. But those tiny little snippets are so much fucking fun to watch, dude.
I appreciate that because I'm gonna do a Snapchat right now, real quick.
Oh, yeah.
We can keep talking, but it's just for my 2019 recap
Ooh.
Oh,
video.
definitely.
You guys have to be in it. It's important.
Well, thank you.
Fuck, what was I going to say?
I'm honored.
We're talking about
I know.
Instagram, Snapchat, Vine.
Yeah. Also, like when you're doing the when you're doing like the clips and it's like a bunch of little lines at the top. Someone's posted like a million different ones. Half the time, this is gonna be wrong. I'm gonna say it right now, but half the time it's for yourself, half the time it's for everyone else, and the other half of the time it's for the people who constantly check your Snapchat story. So then, like, if you posted like 10 within the day, but they see like 5 right back to back, it's actually a story of only 5 snaps instead of 10.
Yeah.
You can go for it whenever
Go
you
ahead.
want to.
We can just keep talking.
Suck with it.
Hey, yeah. All right.
But it's I wish. Okay, so one of the things that I've been running into more recently is because of the field that I'm in with creativity and photography, video, the podcast, whatever, the job that I have, the traveling, all that different stuff. I realize that not a lot of people are going to be into that as well. Like, just because I do it and I love it doesn't mean everyone else is going to. And just because I'm like, do something creative, it'll benefit you, doesn't mean that there are people that are out there that enjoy their day jobs, that enjoy like the simplicity of it, where there are people clock in, clock out, go home, enjoy their life.
Yeah, who they that was their mark and they hit it.
Yeah, and that to me, in my head, is misery, but in their head could be complete happiness.
And on top of that, it could be a combination of that and like a small hobby like wood shop that you do on the weekends, and you're just like happy with life.
But my whole thing is just creativity in general, whether that is a form of media or woodwork, automotive, doing something where
you can express yourself.
Correct. And doing it in your own specific way, where it's not follow the black and white fucking print on a page, and if you screw up a rule, you get fired.
Yeah, and that also plays a part into people who have like management roles. Some people really enjoy having that like leadership role, and that's where they find their passion, is being able to not only like have a good 9 to 5, but also like guide other people underneath them as their job, and they find meaning in that. Yeah.
And I bring this point up specifically because of my brother Steven. When I was talking to him yesterday, I mean, whether he wants to announce it or not, it's going to be announced. I don't give a fuck. But I was telling him, because he's, he doesn't want to work his day job forever. And now I was trying to give him ideas like, dude, pick up a camera and in 2 years, I could guarantee you work. Like, that's how long it took me to get to the job where I'm at now. I don't even think it was a full 2 years before I started landing gigs. Actually, it was 3 months before I started actually getting hired for stuff. And it was 2 years where I got this full-time job. So I told him, I said, pick up a camera, and I can help you. And then I go over there and he's like, that's not what I wanted to do, but I'm going to start a clothing line.
Ooh.
Yeah. And that fucking sparked, dude, I was busy on Friday and Saturday with those weddings. He wouldn't stop texting me with shirt ideas. He's already got all these different fucking ideas and designs that he wants to do. And this is something he's been wanting to do for years. And he said because of this podcast and because of Joe Rogan's podcast, it inspired him to do it, on top of the fact of seeing me and our brother doing it as well. He's like, yeah, that's it. I want to work for myself. I want to do something that's fun, and that's where he found his love.
Clothing is always so dope. Like our buddy Hayden has his own line, and he's talking about like
shout out versus Enigma.
Yeah, dude, he'll be like in the drive-through and then look in the restaurant and see someone wearing his shit and like send us like a Snapchat like, oh look, VE represent.
That's cool.
And it's so fucking nuts. Like just to be around the AV, like we'll walk around here and we'll see people wearing his stuff, and it's just like, oh, that's our boy.
Before I was actually friends with him, I was driving. This was like a year ago. So I was driving to my ex's place and there was a fucking banner on a fence. And I was like, that's a third thing I've seen of versus Enigma. Like, or this was a year and a half or 2 years ago. I was like, what the fuck is that? Ends up being the guy that I'm friends with now. And it's like his brand that's all the way in fucking Europe now. Like it's
got people
all over the place.
And I remember like scrolling through Snapchat stories or on Instagram, and one of the advertisements in between was a versus Enigma advertisement on Instagram. And I'm like, fuck, this is the only ad I like.
So it's when I hear about people not wanting to do their specific jobs, like you already do YouTube, so you understand how to do all that kind of stuff. But it's a perfect way to, dude, you could even do nutrition.
I could.
Yeah,
like enough.
The cool thing is there's so many like peer-reviewed articles and studies out there that you can just research and then do a video on. Like there's so many, like a lot of people do that, but it's really like attractive.
And the coolest part about it is we live in a day and age now where it's not a one size fits all. So maybe your knowledge on what you did specifically pertains to 10,000 people.
Yeah.
and those 10,000 people will look at your way of doing things and like, oh shit, that actually works for me. And so they get interested in your channel and they start watching it.
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, you don't even have to go to school. Just pick up your camera more.
True.
Judge me if you want. I have to pee again.
I have to fucking be so bad.
You can go after I do.
But
I have a topic to bring up when you're done.
Okay,
well,
great.
why don't okay.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Do you from your first podcast to now,
Yes.
what is the number of people listening?
On average, I mean, at first it was about 90, and that was up until like early to mid 20s. Then it depends on who's on now, because with our episodes, it was about the 90s. And by the last episode that we did with each other, which was one of the reasons that we dropped it, just because it was like, well, if it's not getting traction, why keep doing it? Or not necessarily that. We just didn't have the general interest in doing it as well. But that was at like 30 views.
Oh, okay.
And then when a guest would come on, Desmond was probably one of our more recently most viewed ones, where it's like in the high hundreds, 200s.
Oh, wow.
So it depends on the person, but average 90.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that the ones with you and K-Tub are the less listened to, because I actually preferred those because I liked the topics that you guys always spun off of each other. Like, I always thought those were more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Not
fun.
saying that the people aren't interesting,
No,
but
yeah. It's the matter. It's due to what people want to listen to. Yeah.
I'm good for mine, but you guys can go.
Yeah, I'll have another. What the fuck was the point that I was going to make?
Well, the reason why I asked about your numbers is just because, I don't know, like since the beginning, I always thought that it was important to support your podcast because I liked it. And I'm going to share like, you know, small projects, people that are interested. They're doing like you guys are doing what you're interested in. You guys are doing what you enjoy. And, you know, I have so many friends that are like DJs or like they're into fashion and stuff. And I always want to support them too. And I feel like, you know, why not support them? Like people are always like, why do you always like post things about like your friend's podcast or like your friends
People
like
say that?
fashion things? Well, like people are asking me what the podcast is about. And I was just like, oh, it's these two guys I met on Twitter. Like, you know, they spin topics off of each other. Like I really liked what they had to say. And they're like, oh, give it a listen. Like sometimes they'll say they'll give it a listen. Sometimes they don't respond to me after that. They're just interested. But it's like, why not support your friends, you know? Like
no,
I'm
that's
always
appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. No.
You're one of the fucking day ones and always will be.
Like I said, trying to keep up with people is really hard, trying to keep up with the messages in general. So knowing that you like, how often do you post, or is it just random?
If I haven't posted in a while or if I haven't listened in a while, I'll post it on my story.
No, I mean your YouTube.
Oh, my YouTube.
Yeah.
Maybe like once a month now. I used to try to do once a week when I was like trying to get views and stuff, but now it's just whenever I have a big event, I'll vlog about it.
Yeah.
But besides that, I'm just kind of like
Doing your own thing.
Yeah.
You don't want it to get like obviously burned out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, I'm not doing anything right now, you know, like I'm just trying to figure out my life. And then I'm also just trying to figure out like, or like find a job, you know, like find something to keep me occupied, to pay bills, you know, just for the time being until I figure out my life. But the weight loss thing, I did post a video about it. I had people ask me questions and I posted like one giant video about it. So that got like generally more views than my normal vlogs. So I could keep doing videos about that, but there's only so much I could post before it gets super repetitive and everyone's just like, I've seen it already. I've heard it already.
And it's hard as fuck to constantly come up with new stuff to talk about.
Hell yeah.
Because like with a podcast, like you know, you obviously know it's fucking random on this podcast. It's all over the place. And that was the whole point was it would be hard to constantly come in here and talk about, I don't fucking know, let's just call it cameras or politics. To do that over and over and over again is just so fucking tiresome.
Yeah.
But if you make it about anything and everything, it's easily done, dude.
One thing I noticed that really catches people's attention, and when I say it, I don't mean it at the superficial sense of the thing that everyone else does. You should probably is challenges, and I'm not talking about the typical like, oh, chubby bunny challenge, oh, cinnamon challenge, like but like 30-day challenges.
Yes, I love those BuzzFeed videos that they do.
Like, and like there have been a lot I've been binging just because of interests I've been spiking lately. But like if you do one that's like, oh, I tried meditation for 30 days and this is what I found, or I tried to learn a language in 30 days. Like you pick a random language like Italian and then you're like, all right, I'm going to spend 30 days every day spending like an hour to 2 hours like really push an Italian. And then on the 30-day mark, you see like how well you can speak, like you FaceTime a native speaker or something.
Yeah.
And people will like totally gravitate towards that.
I would watch that.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're like, holy shit, like I think this person's just like I am. And if they can, have a regular casual conversation with an Italian after 30 days of it, that's fucking mind blowing. I would totally try that.
Yeah.
And it's cool because you can condense 30 days of hard work into like 10, 15 minutes and people will binge the fuck out of it. It's like, it's why they like autobiographies, because you can take an entire person's life and put it into 400 pages and feel like you've lived a lifetime in a matter of a month.
Yeah. See, that's the thing that BuzzFeed is good at. Clickbait things, interesting videos. Like, I know a lot of people hate BuzzFeed. It's a love or hate thing.
I'm one of those people.
Yeah, okay, see?
I hate BuzzFeed, but for their news, not for their entertainment.
Even some of their entertainment is a little bit too much sometimes. Like you can tell they're just running out of material. But then I literally just watched a video last night about someone training to be an MMA fighter for 3 months. And he got in the ring, like the body physical change, it looked intense. Like he was actually like, he went from literally no experience, no working out at all, to like knowing how to grapple with someone and like learning how to fight. Yeah. And he actually like fought in a ring with someone in an MMA fight. It was like an amateur one though, but still like he did it. He like was committed for 3 months. And those are the kind of videos that BuzzFeed produces that I'm super interested in. But then, the stupid 5-minute videos where they don't know like what they're doing or they just need content out. Like I can't stand them.
Oh, I know. Like I think that's a big thing, is just condensing a long amount of time and a lot of hard work into a small amount of a video. And like, because a lot of people don't know that like the video editing itself and the recording itself is a lot of time and a lot of hard work, but that's like a given when it comes to YouTube. So it has to be something past that.
Yeah.
And I guarantee if you posted video like, with your like a cute little clickbait title and thumbnail, but one that had to do with like improving like how long I could hold my breath for 30 days, and like you like shocked at like a timer or some shit at the end of it, like people would fucking love that shit.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to get into with you, because of I think I just picked it up from conversation that we've had. Okay. And BuzzFeed's a good transition with that, is the overall topic of like sensitivity and people getting outraged at seemingly trivial shit. And when it's appropriate, when the outrage seems to be justified, and when people are really just looking for something to get pissed at. You're on Twitter pretty often, so you see it a lot. What's your overall take in on that?
Twitter...
She's like, stop being a bitch.
Yeah, Twitter is so sensitive now. Like, the change from what it used to be to what it is now. Like, I understand.
Twitter was a different world.
Yeah, to what it is now. It's just everyone looks for a reason to be mad at something. I feel like, and it's like people don't understand sarcasm now. I feel like, because sometimes. The group from here, like the AV people, they'll be trolling about something. They'll be sarcastic about something. Dude, and then
Vince
you'll always...
and his Spanish milk tea.
Oh my God.
He got so many people pissed off about that. Yeah. So many people were like, it's not Spanish milk tea.
Yeah. People, I don't know. I don't know what to say about it, because I know, like, you've seen the tweet about the whole Asian Twitter thing. Like, have you seen that tweet? Because you liked someone's tweet about it. I think it was Raji. He tweeted something about like Asian Twitter, and then there's like a picture of like a bunch of
like people like crying about it, or like was it the one with like everyone like looking dumb or whatever?
Yes, like it's a term. Okay, Asian Twitter is just a specific term. I don't know if I know the true definition of it, but Asian Twitter is just basically the people that tweet things for attention, the people that will reply to people for attention. They'll post things like just to get like likes, retweets, follows, and stuff. Yeah, and they're always super sensitive to things like whether like you'll see someone like that's not Asian wearing something like an Asian dress, like or like a wedding dress or something. Something, and then they'll take offense to it, or like they'll always be on someone's ass about something. And I think that's the definition of Asian Twitter. If I'm wrong, you guys can come at me for it. Just message me, tell me what the true definition of Asian Twitter is. But that's what I think it is. Like I know I'm Asian and I'm on Twitter, but I guess I don't really see myself as the part of the people that they're referring to.
So you're Asian and you're on Twitter, but you're not a part of Asian Twitter.
Yeah, I didn't want to say that.
It's a whole I'm a woman and I'm for women's rights, but I'm not a feminist.
It might be confusing to you because it's not on your timeline. But like he doesn't see like the Asian.
What I'm saying is Asian Twitter means sensitivity.
It means
It's the sensitive part of Asian Twitter. If
Yeah.
Asian Twitter was all Asians on Twitter, then there's the quote unquote Asian Twitter that they specify. It's like the black sheep of the family type thing. Where
Yeah,
there's
that's what I
people
guess
who
I'm
are-
confused on, because I thought what I was hearing was that Asian Twitter means that's the sensitive side of Twitter, like all
the sensitive side of Asian Twitter.
it's just a term for
okay,
it that
okay.
I guess people on Twitter use for like specifically the Asians in this area, like
That's
the
so
SoCal
weird.
Asians, because it seems to me that everyone in like the LA, OC, San Diego area in like on my Twitter timeline know each other. Like
Yeah.
when I see someone that follows me, I'm just like, oh, you have so many mutual friends with me
Yeah.
or that follow each other. So I'm just like, you guys really all know each other. So it's like a small community, I guess. But
Yeah.
then when something comes up and it's just like, you know, that old picture that got brought up of that couple that was like dressed in like traditional Chinese wear, but then they're standing outside of like a sushi restaurant. Like people were getting mad about that.
I think I did. I think I saw.
Yeah,
that.
it was
so
a
glad I
black
don't
couple.
see this shit.
Yeah, like people brought it up again, and they're just like, "Oh my god, like you're offending my race. You're
It
offending
was a
my
what
stuff."
couple?
It was a black couple.
See, what I don't understand about that is, like, for all you fucking know, for all you know from this one little photo that you see,
Mm-hmm.
is that they are actually Asian. They're just black. Like,
Or they've lived in an Asian country.
correct. That's
Yeah.
my point, is that they have the backgrounds in it, but you see, what?
Did people get pissed at? Because I know you guys have a white boy in your group, and
Yes. Was it the Filipino one?
He posted the Filipino
Like how
video.
Filipinos tie shoes. Have you seen that?
And they put down like a fucking ukulele and a camera.
Oh, no.
And I was fucking
And then
dying.
at the end, he like took away his shoes and he put
Like
chanclas or like
yeah,
flip flops
yeah,
in,
slides.
and he said something in Tagalog.
Yes,
Yeah.
fucking. And people were like, "Oh my god, your Tagalog is so good."
Yeah, they're like, oh, or some people were mad though. A lot of people were
Mm-hmm.
mad. They're like, you're saying it wrong, or like that's so disrespectful to my
you
culture.
click on this dude's, because you can't see his face at all. You just see feet.
Yeah.
And you see he's like, oh, like gotta tie my shoes or whatever. And he sits down.
pull
And
it up.
it's just feet in the frame.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh wait, and he puts a ukulele down and moves it out of frame. And he's oh wait, and he puts like a Nikon down and moves it out of frame. And oh wait, and he kept putting shit down that like had to do with Filipino stereotypes.
Yeah.
And then like moved his shoes out of the way completely, put on slides, and then said something in Tagalog. And like you watch this video and you're like, oh, that's hilarious. And you click on it and it's a white dude who'd made the fucking video.
Yeah, so people were enraged because it was a white person that did it.
Was it Asian Twitter that was
Yes.
pissed about that shit?
Yes.
Because like
Wait, was that no Bay?
yeah,
Yeah, I obey that.
yeah, and so you see like something that bothers me just as much, if not more, is when white people feel like they need to get pissed off for minorities in certain situations. So like someone will post like a joke about. I don't fucking know about black people. And a white person loves to jump in and be like, do you realize how offensive this shit is? You should be ashamed of yourself. And then the next three replies are black people laughing at it.
Yeah.
And it just, it pisses me off so much because it's like, the same people who are like, oh, you're black, you don't understand, whenever people make a point,
Yeah.
are the same people who feel like they need to also understand when to get offended.
Yeah.
And it just feels like you're going, like, raising your hand, like, hey, look, I'm an ally.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't do any real good.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just apply to black Twitter, but to anyone who seemingly gets discriminated against. You just, like, people feel, especially white people, feel like they need to jump out of their way to be like the save a minority, and it's such a bad look.
White people were the first people to jump on the "I'm a feminist" train. White males were, because white people were just like, we're gonna take the fucking bullet for literally anybody. It's like, hey, dude, relax.
You guys remember when the whole Meninist thing was like a huge fucking movement?
It's still pretty fucking big. If you,
It's nowhere near
Yeah.
as big as it was, though.
I don't think you're
Not
hearing
anymore.
about it as much.
Or not that I see of.
I
Right.
like. I'm sure there's their own little like cult that
like they
sticks together
show
with
up
it.
to like feminist rallies and
Oh
whatnot.
yeah,
No
I know,
way.
but that's like.
But yeah,
not to the extent of it where it was like there were so many parody accounts.
2013,
Yeah.
2014.
T-shirts were selling.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember. Dude, my school had a Spirit Day. Where it was, would you still be my friend if I wore this day?
oh God.
And a chunk of my friends wore, not like my close friends, but a chunk of people I was friends with wore Meninist t-shirts. And then they posted the pictures on Twitter and pissed so many people off.
I think I saw
because
that.
They didn't know the context of
Yeah.
the day. Like everyone was wearing like weird shit. Like I was wearing like almost like boxers with white sandals and thong flip-flops and a fur coat and like just ugly ass like shirt.
Yeah.
And then I'm next to, and we all took like a group picture, and some of the dudes are wearing Meninist t-shirts, and it was in the prime era of Meninist Twitter.
That's so stupid.
And it just caused an outrage, and it was so fun. Like one of our friends, actually, who's a girl, wore a Meninist shirt, and she got so much hate for it.
Yeah.
And it was so funny to see, like the same people who like love to boast about how like egalitarian they are and how empathetic they are and how they're fighting for the good cause, just like say the worst shit, like I hope you burn in hell, I hope you never have kids, I hope you die tomorrow, like shit like that. And it's like, bro, it's a t-shirt about a parody account, you can fucking calm down.
My favorite was when it's hold on, sorry,
okay.
Bring this back. My favorite was when it started with my side note. An alarm went off on your phone when I was watching that video. I don't know if that was important or not.
Oh no, it's not. It's fine.
Was your prom dress or my culture is not your fucking
costume.
prom dress or whatever?
Yes.
And it was
my
like,
culture's not your costume.
it's like, hey, relax. It's a dress.
Yeah.
They're not doing anything wrong. They're just enjoying themselves. It looks really good on them. Leave them the fuck alone.
I'm one of the people who, and I could get flack for this, but I don't care. I'm open for my opinion being changed, but I don't see a problem with someone dressing up as a Native American for a costume party, even if it's a stereotype. Because like as long as you're not painting your skin red and saying fucked up shit, as long as you dress like the typical Native American you saw in like a childhood Thanksgiving play, I don't think it's a problem.
I don't think it's necessarily like an issue.
Like people love to use the word
People get
problematic.
mad. People get pretty mad.
Yeah,
but people, that's one of the sensitive ones, and that's the one I bring up like to bring in the topic is just like I don't see an issue if they're not being disrespectful, if they're just following a stereotype and it's not like in any way like hurting you. Get the fuck over it.
Yeah.
The only reason that I'm constantly on like a mixed view on this is because if you're talking about Halloween, for example, Halloween is supposed to be like a quote unquote like scary holiday. And that was the only argument where I saw like, oh, you're just making it seem like that's a scary thing to wear.
I definitely don't agree with that.
And that's my point is like, it depends on how you look at it. And depending on what you're doing in that case, if you're being disrespectful, if you're just wearing it to wear it because that's what you fucking grew up, like you just grew up wearing random costumes. But I mean, like, what do you think of like blackface, for example?
Ooh.
Well, blackface is different because it has an entire like history of like purposefully using it to downgrade, like to degrade black people.
Yeah.
Like you have the entire, like you can go watch old Looney Tunes cartoons and see that shit and know that it's not it's purposely being used in a negative light. It's much different, and the context on top of that is super sensitive nowadays. So if you went out and did blackface, one, you're either not understanding the historical context, and two, you're not understanding modern context of how sensitive it is, and so way different. If you dress up, if you dress up like, what were the Mexican cowboys called? There's a special word for it.
I don't know
a certain word. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you dress up like one of those and people are like, you're appropriating my culture. It's like, no, it's a very significant time of history and someone's wearing a costume that symbolizes it. Like if I dress up as a mummy, I'm not appropriating ancient Egypt culture.
Yes, you are. How dare you?
I'm dressing up as a fucking mummy.
I think everybody's just too fucking sensitive, and it's one of those things where it's like, unless it's blatantly obvious that you're doing something extremely fucking inappropriate, hey dude, get over it. And
that's the whole argument of letting people do what they want so that the dumbasses who are absolutely wretched people can out themselves because you give them a platform to express themselves.
Yeah.
If you let a racist get a microphone, they will dig their own grave.
Yeah.
They can find their own small niche of dumbasses who are going to follow them, but the majority of people are going to exile them.
yeah.
And so the people who silent them aren't letting them dig their own grave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're letting them stay a controversial, enigmatic topic. And it's like, let this person say stupid shit so that no one can like them anymore.
Right.
But if you keep giving them a platform through your mouth and you're calling this person racist, but you also called Bradley Cooper racist last week and Bradley Cooper isn't racist, then how are we to determine that this person's racist or not when you use the word so flagrantly all the time that it has no meaning anymore?
I was actually thinking the other day, I was leaving Bevmo and just randomly got this thought of like, there are people out there that I could tweet good morning and they're like, wow, how dare you? There are people that wake up every morning in pain. And it's like,
dude, fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astronomer, tweeted something He either tweeted it or said it in an interview or something like that, but he said Godspeed. And people were like, oh, how
Lost
dare
their
you
shit.
be like religious? You're supposed to be a scientist. It's supposed to be a separation of your work and religion. And he's like, and he was so taken aback by it in an interview. He was like, you do realize that the word goodbye roots from God be with you, right? Like that's where that comes from.
Interesting.
And you're saying goodbye all the time. How dare you be religious? How dare you put that in there? And it's like such a stupid thing that people can find something seemingly harmless.
Yeah,
and
it's the same
find
thing as
the
like when I
evil in
say
it.
Jesus Christ, it doesn't mean that I fucking believe in that stuff. It's just
Or
something
that
I've
you
felt since I was
hate
a
it.
kid. Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
That either. It's just,
It's the same thing of like,
it's too fucking sensitive, dude. Everybody
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
just
It's-
up their own fucking ass about everything. And
Yeah,
it's
like-
so annoying.
I was actually just talking about this, how like Halloween is, a quote unquote pagan rooted holiday. But like, if you ask 99% of people at a Halloween party what paganism is, they won't be able to tell you. Or the same thing with Christmas. So many people celebrate Christmas and it has nothing to do with Jesus.
Yes.
Santa Claus is trending more than Jesus is on Christmas. And it's like, you have to realize that certain things are so far removed from their original context that they are no longer even, one would say, identifying with the original root that it came from.
Yeah.
No one who celebrates Halloween is going to suddenly become a pagan because they celebrate Halloween. And the stupid thing is paganism is just anything that's not the three main Abrahamic religions. And everyone who celebrates Christmas doesn't suddenly become a Christian.
Right.
It's the same idea, and same thing with Godspeed. Just because you say Godspeed doesn't mean you have to be religious. And so I find the same context when it comes to people who are dressing in another culture's tradition. It's like if they're doing it harmlessly with good intent, you shouldn't find a problem with it. If the black couple wants to wear kimonos or Chinese wear, let them fucking wear it.
But I think it also depends on the people that you're around and your surroundings, your friends, what you're taught, all those different things. You hang out, the majority of what your large group is guys, right?
Yeah.
So like guys joke around far differently than girls do, like
Yeah.
by far.
Quote unquote locker room talk.
Yes. And so eventually you build thick skin. For
Yeah.
example, girls that I've met that only hang out with girls when, let's say their wrist was grabbed in a club, they would either whimper or just be awkward or freeze or whatever.
Scream.
But
Yeah.
as where like, not just saying that the fact that you hang out with the guys, but that probably does help in the fact of like you speak the fuck up
Yeah.
when something's not right, and you have like this thicker skin because guys don't hold back as much.
Yeah.
They just they're brutal a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So it's people that are sensitive. You have to think about all the fucking sensitive little crybabies that they're around.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and they also like to attract each other too.
right.
So
And-
like you see someone bitching about some shit, and if everyone else is like, "Oh, look at you, you're fucking whining, you little SJW,"
Yeah, but
but
then-
another person who thinks just like them is like, "Oh,
Like,
someone
me
who thinks
too.
like me, yeah, me too.
Let's congregate and talk
Yeah, it's
shit
like-
and
it's like-
complain about our lives.
Exactly. Let's
Yeah.
create a bigger echo chamber. I'll join your cult. You join mine."
Yeah.
it's fucking ridiculous, dude.
The thing you mentioned with like people who are around guys, girls who are around guys more, I feel like you can notice a stark difference between girls who grew up with all brothers versus girls who grew up with all sisters.
Well, oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and you see that grit and toughness out of the girls who were like forced to like wrestle with their brothers all the time
But-
versus the girls who
but
like
that also again depends upon like what those sisters were raised around.
yeah,
Because
definitely.
if you
but
grew up in a family where it was just be tough all the time,
yeah, I'm talking
like-
mainly on average.
right? But I have a friend who she has a perfectly mixed family of like boys and girls, but she was always kind of like the mom that took care of them, and she's in her later 20s now, and dude, she can beat the fucking shit out of me if she wanted to. And she's 5'2", weighs 100 pounds,
my God.
and has some of the heaviest hands I've ever felt. Because there was one time I was fucking with her. Like I always
Yeah.
screw around with people. Like whenever it's like a girlfriend and I'm just hanging out with them, if we're joking around, like hitting each other, I'll just kind of like hit their shins and their legs and like their shoulders and whatnot. I was doing that with her and fucked up one day because I didn't know she was actually going to come at me, like squaring up and fucking swinging at me. And like she got me down to the stairs and I was like blocking fists. Like I had my arms out like this. And then she was just standing there and then realized like, all right, I'll stop. But that was because of her surroundings. I mean, it had nothing to do with the men
it's
versus
the upbringing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the
So
environment you're in.
it's like you can be raised in a house full of girls that can, especially like, let's call them girls that can fucking country girls that ride horses. They will fucking, depending upon like how they were raised.
Yeah, those
can
yeehaws will
fuck-
put you on your ass.
they will fuck you up. They don't
Yeah.
let people tell them, you know, otherwise. So it
I
just
have a
depends.
question. How many brothers do you think I have?
1.
3.
I have no brothers.
No.
Yeah,
I have no brothers.
I was
That's
gonna
like,
say,
see, that's like when you said that.
So, you said it, so I was like, it's a trick question. I'm gonna guess high.
You said, you know, I do have a lot of guy friends, and you know, when you were saying like you can tell like when someone is brought up with like a bunch of brothers, like you can tell that they're tougher. I only have an older sister, so and my sister's not tough like that. She's really passive. She's super quiet. So I don't know where I got this from. Where I'm
I
like,
think that's
so
with your friends.
Yeah,
I think
it's-
that's
honestly, I
genuinely
think
with
so.
your
Because
friends.
it's not just family, but environment as a whole. And if
Yeah.
you're not as close to your family and your
I
friends,
agree.
Because-
accommodate.
yeah, because okay, you know Nico. I don't know if you know who Nico is, but
Nico's wild.
yeah, you know, all of the people in the AV now that I hang out with, they're basically like all my brothers. And Nico will literally wrestle me to the ground until I get like carpet burn, like without a doubt. He like won't even care. Like
Yeah,
it'll-
that sounds like a-
It doesn't like sure it'll hurt, but it's not like something I'm gonna cry over. You know,
Yeah.
like I think they've brought me up. Like I think they're all my brothers. You know,
Yeah.
they're the
Yeah.
ones that basically toughened me up.
And that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
Is that's why I asked you in the beginning versus how you act now from the
Yeah.
first time that you were put in an uncomfortable position versus now it's where it's like, bitch, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah.
I guarantee like in the beginning, it probably wasn't that rough.
No, it wasn't.
And that's what I'm saying is like, that's your surroundings. That's the positions you put yourself in with the people that you have around. I
Yeah.
mean, you hang out with weak-minded people or just weak people or sensitive people, you're going to be
gonna
just like
soak
those
it up.
people because there's a whole like theory on you are the
Average
of the 5 closest people to you.
Whether it be 5, 8, 10,
Oh.
12.
Yeah.
There's so many different numbers that it is. But
Right.
you're the average of the people who you spend the most time around.
And the 5 closest people, I mean, my brother being one of them, one of the most inspiring people that I know, and one of the hardest workers, inspires
Oh,
me to do more
It
constantly.
rubs off like gold.
Yeah. And it's like if you get around tough people, you're tough. Sensitive people, you're pretty much sensitive. Like,
Yeah.
I remember hearing about this guy who was like a super successful entrepreneur, investor, or whatever. And they told you like, oh, if you like suddenly woke up and you were homeless, you only had like a couple $100s to your name, what would you do? And he immediately said like, oh, I would go buy myself a nice suit and I would go meet like high-end, hardworking businessmen.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'd associate myself with them and get into connection with them, and I would find myself right back in the spot that I am now.
Right.
And it's because he chooses to surround himself with successful people that he's going to find.
You know exactly
it's going
how
to be easier for him to find success on his own.
how to go about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing a little bit of self-reflecting right now as you guys are talking about this. Like my sister,
You're like, who the fuck am I going to cut
yeah, because
out?
my sister, she's kind of no. My sister, she's like, you know, softer side, emotional, passive, quiet, and I think I got like that sensitive side from her because you know, even though I have all these guy friends that toughen me up, like you know, I'm not afraid to like punch someone if someone gets in my face. Like there are times where it's like I can also just like cry on the spot too,
Yeah.
and it's not because I'm a girl.
You're the perfect
it's
blend
because
of Nick and I.
that's true. Sensitive. I remember.
I'm right there, dude.
We talked about that, but the sensitive, like listening to music that can trigger tears.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm just like that. Like yesterday, I finished like the whole season of Orange is the New Black within like a couple of days and I started crying. Like I was literally bawling just because of my attachment to characters that don't exist.
Right.
Like I
Dude,
don't know.
Well, that's the
me with
thing is,
Endgame.
that's exactly it. Is you have to understand that you're building this relationship with people, even though you don't. It's not necessarily. It's the same thing as a podcast. It's the same fucking thing. We're friends because you listened to this and then you reached out. You called us dick bags one day, and it was just like.
that warmed my heart. I hope you know. Like it did the exact opposite of probably what it normally would do. You're like, hey, dick bags, respond to my DM. And
Yeah, I
was
knew
like,
you wouldn't take
"Aw."
offense, so I was
Oh,
like,
fuck no.
I'm gonna tell you guys.
Right, but
Yes.
that's the point. Is that you have no communication. Well, I mean, when you're listening to the podcast, you have no communication to us. But if you build a relationship with that person, it's the same thing I always tell people. Like I went over to his birthday party, walked into the house, and this dude introduced himself. He said, "Hey, man," I always forget his fucking name. Asian dude that was at your party.
Sean Lee?
Sean. He was
Sean
like,
Lee.
Sean Lee. He's like, "Hey man, my name's Sean Lee. It's really nice to meet you. I know that you're Nick. I hear a lot about you. I listen to the podcast, dude. This episode, blah, 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 blah." Just going. And I was just like, this is dope. Because like, I have no fucking idea who you are, but yeah, I would open up a conversation that way.
Yeah.
And it allows people, I'll say this time and time again, it allows people who don't normally open up conversations to talk to us whenever they want.
Yeah.
Because they know a lot about us now.
Yeah.
And then we can just continue off of that. We literally feed off of it.
It's such an easy topic for people to bring up around us because like one, we have like a lot of people that we're mutually friends with, but a lot of people that we are exclusively friends with. And people who have at least looked into the podcast or know that we do it. And dude, it's such a quick conversation topic right off the bat. Like I went to one of the poppin' local bars out here and seemingly every person I ran into was like, oh my God, dude, I listen to the podcast. And I fucking love it. Like, and
That's
it's
crazy.
like, yeah. And it's so heartwarming and it's totally awesome, but it's just crazy to see the impact like in person because now you experience it.
Yeah.
This is what the podcast is to us. It is 3 people sitting around a nice glass table, forgetting that we have mics in front of us, just shooting the shit.
Yeah.
Just sitting and chilling. And then you go out in the real world and so many fucking people are talking to you about a conversation that they weren't there for.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, this is fucking different.
Yeah.
And so to get to that whole like mix of,
K-Tup's like, I'm an AV celebrity now. You know?
Oh yeah, you're on the list. You're on the. We'll make a walk of fame on the boulevard.
Jesus, no. But that whole like sensitive side that you were talking about from your sister, the thing that I think people get very confused is like having sensitivity means weakness because you have your sensitive side and you have your strong side.
But
And it's like,
not.
no, it's just emotion, dude. It's emotion that you feel. It's totally normal.
Yeah.
It's just people block it off because it's seen as weakness.
Yeah.
I think it's perfect to have that balance where you can hear your songs or watch your movies or watch a show or listen to a podcast and you can feel things. But then when it comes down to like, you got to get down to the fucking grit and put your fists up, you can do that too. That's a perfect balance.
Yeah.
I don't see those conflicting with one another. I see those as like they need to work with one another, like hand in hand.
Yeah.
So
I think you said in a podcast once where you're talking about anger, but anger is like also an emotion and you're allowed to feel it, you know? Like you're allowed to be emotional and like sad too, or like cry if you want to.
Yeah, I think it takes for people who have the mindset of like emotion is weakness.
Yeah.
I think from
those are
that
broken
perspective,
people.
Well, that's exactly what I'm getting at. Is it takes a certain amount of strength and self-identity to be able to admit that you get emotional, to be able to cry in front of somebody, to be able to be vulnerable. It's not a act of weakness because you, in a sense, doing that is one of the scariest things you can do, at least especially first off doing it, like starting off. And so that takes courage. It takes strength. And so if someone were to like, you know, I was thinking about it earlier when we were talking about the whole like guys being too overbearing and too aggressive. If someone were to be like, oh, like listen to these 2 shitbags, they're trying to like, you know, oh, like hope she texts you back, bro. Like I hope you like, you know, oh, you're being like a woman, like a white knight or whatever.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that if someone were to like respond in that way, it would say so much more about them than it would about us.
Hell yeah.
It would open up totally to what their mindset is, how they feel about like being fair to women, like being understanding of the point and not being the type of just being like, oh yeah, like, you know, go get what you want, go grab that pussy, go get yours type shit.
Yeah.
You saying, oh, like you're being such a cuck about some shit like that. If you're not one to immediately buy into whatever somebody says, if you're able to look past it, you just go, whoa, dude, I don't know what's going on in your life, but I hope you figure that shit out. And it's the same thing with anything relating to emotion and being vulnerable. As soon as people start hating on it, it's like, dude, what do you have a problem with it? And you know, why do you have a problem with it? You can get them on the defensive pretty quickly.
What I've learned just from, the small amount of conversation that we've had now and just over the time of like you reaching out to us and whatnot, you're a very balanced person.
Thank you.
You have like, as much as you're probably frustrated right now with like trying to figure out exactly where you want to go with life and your degree, and if you want to go back to school or just get a job or do this or do that, when it comes down to the person that you are with your emotions, with your views on things, that you're very, it's like I don't know if yin and yang is the exact thing. It's just a
Wow.
balance.
Nick,
Oh my God, Nick is
wow.
racist.
I fucking hate you guys. It's just
kidding.
like it's
I've
having
never said this in the other 33 fucking episodes.
but it's just having like this nice balance to you.
Oh, sorry.
And no, you're good. And then having like this conversation. You don't lean completely on one side of things and the other. You're totally open-minded to things. So it's always dope to find people like that. It's like
breath of
diamonds.
fresh air.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that a
definitely.
lot.
That's why I'm able to bring up the topic of oversensitivity in society and not have any fear of that topic going awry.
Yeah.
Because you may be like radicalized on a certain point.
Were you guys afraid of saying anything to offend me at all?
No.
No.
Especially after our our private conversations that we've had in the past, I was like, okay, you're definitely reasonable. Like more reasonable than average.
No,
So
I never go into literally anything. And I'm not even joking with this. When I talk to anybody, I don't go in thinking, oh, I'm going to offend them with something. Because right off the bat, you can kind of pick up what you can and can't say.
For me, I'm to that to an extent, but like some of the deeper questions that provoke at people, whether it be like their own purpose in life or stuff that kind of self-reflects on them, I feel like you can think you know someone and then you bring up a topic that like really reflects on one of their like insecurities and they switch up really quick.
Oh yeah.
And so like you could be really, really good with somebody, all cylinders the whole time, and then like religion gets brought up or politics and they turn into a totally different person because they're maybe
seen
not
that.
like as developed opinionated wise.
But you can kind of pick up from that, from the way that they're open and talking about almost anything.
You can pick up on when they're open, but
That's
sometimes
what I'm saying.
if
When
they,
they're closed, that's when you go in tiptoeing. So it's like,
Yeah,
know
exactly.
not to bring up controversial things. Like,
Have you ever been around someone that you know is super sensitive to things and you have to like tiptoe and you're afraid of like either offending them religiously, racially, or like anyways?
yeah,
So-
all the time. And I
Really?
just avoid those people.
oh yeah, it's one of those things where, and I have certain people who in my life that like are literally like totally solid, all green lights on most things, and then that one thing is their like Achilles heel. It's that one spot of them, it hits a nerve.
I never feel like it's one thing. I feel like those people have other things that maybe you're not even thinking
sometimes
about.
Sometimes it's more than one, but most of the time, from like just talking from my own personal observations, it's one thing that could lead to other things, but you just kind of like don't touch that door.
Right. Like, for example, and this is just because I'm speaking toward you, Caleb.
Yeah.
Like when I go over to your house with your parents, I know, and I've done it once.
Oh my
I know
gosh.
specifically not to talk about religion, but I know that
Fuck no.
even school, when I was telling your younger brother, like, you don't need college, your mom's eyes raised, and I was like, I don't really give a fuck because
I'm gonna say it again.
right. And it's just my point on that is when I go into those situations, like I go over to your house, I'm not talking about religion, not going to drop goddamn, not going to drop Jesus Christ.
I remember we were at my house and you were like, yeah, it's crazy. Can you believe that some people really believe in like possessions and demons and shit?
Okay,
and
so-
my mom was like, well, I mean, and you were like, oh.
So the only reason I fucked up on that one was because the way that the conversation was going seemed as though she didn't. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. I can be open to that. She literally made it seem like it was a crazy topic.
Well, because I think we were talking about like in those like super large churches where people perform like exorcisms live, and like the person of interest that gets brought up on stage has almost like a seizure because they're having such an experience. Like the pastor's like, "Be gone, Satan!" and they like pull the spirits out of them.
And everybody
live in
was
front of everyone.
laughing.
And
Okay.
people and they're like seizing on the ground, like flopping around, and everyone's like, "Oh, the Holy Ghost!" and all that shit. And my
We
parents
were all
talking,
watching it as like a group of 7 of us.
yeah, and we were like, "Oh, you know, look how ridiculous that is." And then Nick made the seemingly he thought common agreement of like, "Oh yeah, can you believe people believe in like spirits and shit?" And boy, did he get caught on a wrong foot.
And I looked at it and I
wasn't
went,
that
okay,
crazy
diffuse the
awkward.
situation, changing it. Like it's simple to do those things. So
People but like you can imagine just the pure look of shit on his face when it happened.
Yeah.
I'm like tense, like imagining the situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, you can go into something with someone like commonly having a level head, and then
Yeah.
suddenly you hit that nerve, and it's like,
I mean, I went over to a friend's house a long time ago. Won't drop his name, but I know his views on things. I know my views on things, obviously. And his parents are way more religious than Caleb's parents. And we were sitting at the table once. It was me, my buddy, his girlfriend, the two people that were living with them, and my buddy's parents. And they asked me, like, what are your religious views? Because I've always kind of hinted at the fact I don't believe in it.
Your eyes back in your head. Let me show you.
My first thing, my first thing that as you said, like going into those situations, I knew not to talk about that. So when they asked me, I went,
Hindu.
I just kind of like eased into, I'm not really into it. And then I saw their eyes raised. So I gave them the answer they wanted, where it was like, maybe it's not a thing for me now. It might be for me later.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
I'm not really into it, eyes raised, unless it's about Jesus.
That's the answer you give when you tell your friend you don't want to join their pyramid scheme.
Oh no, I just laugh at them. I just laugh.
Bro, I had this one homie that I did men's league softball with. I thought we were totally cool. I thought shit was great. He was like, yeah, let's hang out sometime. And I'm like, dope. And he's like, let's hang out here. And I'm like, I don't know that
He
place.
took you to
And
a meeting, huh?
He's like, wear a dress shirt. And I'm like, why? And he's like, what are we talking about? He's like, you'll find out. And I'm like, am I getting kidnapped? Luckily, it was me and Joel going. And we walk in. And oh boy, did we really get pushed on selling people healthcare?
Yeah, I had a friend. It was a close friend of ours that got into a pyramid scheme. I don't even know what the fuck they were selling. Wellness products.
Wellness?
My favorite type
You
of
mean
thing.
fruit?
Yes, right. So he was trying to. I think it was something like that. And he was trying to get us into it, and he tried to get
Essential
it was me and 3 of our friends into it, and we literally, for like a half an hour, we're clowning him in the group text of just like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're an idiot. You should know. Like, don't ever try to bring us into this shit. Like, what kind of scumbaggery?
I want to get into this shit because, oh my god, during the fucking meeting that I went to, right? I'm sitting down with one of the more seniority representatives, and he's sitting here talking to me about it. And I've ran this rodeo more than once. I know how this multimedia marketing shit works.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting here with this dude, and you can tell when they start to get a little fucking upset that you're not buying in.
You get mad.
Dude, they do, because I was sitting here and I was just like, I don't know, man, it's not for me. It's not my cup of tea and everything. And he starts saying these like passive aggressive comments to me because they separate.
I can't wait to fucking murder you.
Dude, they separate you. So like me and Joel went together, right? But they brought us in separate rooms to talk to one of like the senior advisors on it.
Colt.
Right? And he's sitting here and he's talking to me about it. And I just keep turning him down. And like with irritation in his tone, looks at me and he goes, oh, well, I mean, if you know anyone who likes money, make sure you let them know that what we're doing. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll make sure that one of my very few friends who enjoys money, I'll send him your way if I know anyone who likes money. It's like, you fucking bitch.
You know why they get mad? Because if you don't join, they don't get to make you underneath their little pyramid.
Well, of course,
because pyramid
that's how it
schemes work in many pyramids, and the more people they have selling for them, the more money they make. So
Yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
when you don't like money, you're taking their money away
Yeah,
from
that's
them.
the thing. They get pissed because it's like, oh, I
They're
didn't
like,
know.
you wasted my time.
Yeah, I didn't know
Like,
you.
bitch, I didn't want to be here.
It's
Exactly.
like, sorry, I got tricked into this warehouse, like in complete darkness, and I don't know why you're selling me knives.
And why are you taking my friend away from me?
Yeah, and like,
What's that
apparently,
potato sack for?
ooh, ropes. It's one of those things where apparently pyramid schemes, I believe, are actually illegal, and so
That's
the
why they
way
call it
around
something else.
and multimedia marketing, the way around it is you need a product to sell.
Yes.
So it's because originally it used to start off those email chains where it's like, oh, send the person who did this for you $100 and then send it to 10 people and you'll make 1,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, that's brilliant, right? And they keep fucking sending it and everything. That became illegal because homeboy at the top is making fucking bank.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not.
And everybody else.
That
'cause-
resurfaced recently on Twitter with the whole Venmo, like, oh, Venmo me $5, and then the pyramid scheme thing resurfaced.
Yeah, people fall for it every time. But
Yeah.
when they, from what I believe, when it became illegal, people were like, because it's not a business, it needs a product.
Yeah.
And so you'll get wellness products or like anti-aging products
Yes.
or realign your chakras products.
Question: have you watched The Office?
Here and there.
Did you see the one about the pyramid scheme?
I have not, but now I'm interested.
Michael Scott was trying to like do something with paper. He was trying to change up the business. I don't know if you've seen it. Yeah,
I think I've seen that one.
Jim was like, so a pyramid scheme. And he was like, no. And then he drew it as Michael was talking, and he drew a triangle. And then he was like, and he just like sat back down.
He drew out like basically what it looks
structure.
like, and then didn't Jim walk up and just
drew
draw a triangle?
And he's like,
Yeah, dude. And like they always say, well, like they're like, and people call it a pyramid scheme, but in reality, everything's a pyramid. Like, and they'll draw it out, and they'll be like, "Here's the CEO," and draw the top, and they'll be like, "Here's the janitor," and draw the bottom, and it's like, see, there's always hierarchy, and it's like, yeah, you know what? There also is guaranteed hourly wages.
Yeah.
I love it because there was. I'm not going to drop her name, but she was in a pyramid scheme. But the way she started explaining it, I was like, oh, that's really odd because it's an upside down pyramid scheme. And
Literally.
like the way she explained it when it started trickling down and everything else, I was like, Jim, I drew with a fucking triangle upside down. I was like, oh, they're just making it sound like it isn't.
Yeah.
Reverse.
Yeah, exactly.
But really, it's probably worse because there's a lot of people at the top and down those fucking two walls, it's going, all the money's funneling to that one person.
Dude, yeah, it's like, oh, like hourly wages, you have a glass ceiling above you. Do you really want to bug your boss for a wage increase every 6 months? Here, when you earn commission.
See, and the thing about pyramid schemes though is depending upon what you sell, they can fucking work out.
Yeah.
They
Well, yeah,
really
I've seen
can.
it work.
They wouldn't be appealing if there wasn't that spokesperson who's like, I quit my job and make $50K a month.
Yeah, there was a chick. I have some of the stuff over there. It's doTERRA, the fucking essential oils. There was a chick that I knew that had X amount of people working under her, and she had clients that she sold to, and then she had her. They're not even employees; they're just people that you brought on.
They're
that
brand
work under
ambassadors.
you. Yes, and this chick made $4,000 every 2 weeks. And I was like,
that's fucking
yo.
nuts. But that's the thing with the whole pyramid is
Right.
the top 1% make the top 1%.
fuck
That's
outta here,
how
Bernie.
it fucking works. And so you have like 13 people making $4,000 every
But
2
it's
weeks.
always
and then
so funny to me
1,300.
that you can literally like Jim showing somebody the pyramid scheme and they're like, nah, but it's not like that. And
Dude,
it's like,
seriously,
it's
because
not any different.
It's what happens when you buy into dogma, whether that be anything. It doesn't have to be just like your pyramid scheme. It could be political opinions, religious opinions, historical opinions, anything, nutritional opinions. And people could be like, no, you don't get it. Aliens built the pyramids and we can prove it here. And you could be like, literally fucking no. And they could be like, no, but yes.
My favorite is when you're on Instagram and you see those sponsored ads. And it's like, hey, before you keep scrolling, and I just scroll. I scroll past. It's just like, dude, I already know what the fuck you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Especially, okay, workout plans are my favorite ones that are happening now because it's
You that V shred dude? Have you seen that dude? Yeah,
yes.
you're just working. You're eating wrong. You're working out the wrong way. You haven't meant it specifically for your.
if you
body
do
type.
nutrition, don't do it that way.
Oh, hell no.
But it's probably making bank. There's so many
Don't give a fuck
suckers.
if he's making bank. Don't be a piece of shit. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
yeah.
you're clearly not doing it
He's
genuinely.
like ethics, Ferrari.
I mean, when you look at money sometimes. And look, pyramid schemes are meant for
what a
people who
topic.
are broke.
Yeah, it's the rags to riches dream.
Because
Yeah.
when you have this motherfucker sitting in an infinity pool looking over Hawaii's, looking over fucking Hawaii's beaches, and
With
he's
their
just
pink
like,
Cadillac.
"Are you tired of being broke?"
Yeah.
and it's like, "Yes, I am." Well, let me tell you, it's
I
like.
used to couch surf for 32 years. and all the
I'm 26 years old.
And all the suckers I met, I put them under me.
So one of my former roommates is in a pyramid scheme that's kind of like that, but she sells vacations, and I don't think.
You know, I can buy one of those myself. Right?
Yeah, but it's a vacation membership. I don't know how it worked exactly, but you know, because we all lived together, she would always bring people over for meetings. Yes, thank you. But they also have a sign. I'm not going to say what the company is, but they always have a sign when they go on vacation. It's like this. I don't want to be too specific, but it's
'Cause
a
then it will
specific
out
sign.
them.
And it's just like they say it. Okay, the sign says you should be here. And it's just like this
That's
blue
not outing
sign.
anyone, you're
Yeah,
fine.
but like, you know, you'll see it in pictures and people will be like, oh, what does that mean? Like, how do you go on all these vacations all
My
the time?
interest
They're
is
like,
suddenly
let me
piqued.
tell you. Because when you said infinity pools, that's why I started laughing because, you know, they take pictures like that. I don't speak to that roommate anymore. Like, I have her on Facebook, but we don't talk. We don't follow each other on Instagram. So I don't give a fuck. So
Dude.
it's just Yeah, like she sells vacations. She's tried to sell me on it like multiple times. She's just like, I'm getting a lot of people under me. Like the later you join, yeah, she's like, the later you join, like the lower you are going to be on my pyramid. you know,
on my totem, pyramid.
On my not pyramid.
Their favorite fucking word for all fucking pyramid schemes is opportunity.
Ugh.
They love that fucking word. It's oh, you don't get opportunities like this. The opportunity isn't an unlimited thing. It's gonna go away eventually.
Trust me, I can go find a pyramid scheme like when I walk out of this restaurant right now, or like whatever
Literally.
place.
It's like, man, I sure wish there were 18 people above me getting a small fraction of every monthly income payment I make.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I got lucky with my job, especially with like all the traveling that I do, and small little flex going to New York in September.
Ooh,
do you know
wow.
what, do you know
Very
what
nice.
Downton Abbey is?
No.
It's like
Yes.
that show. Apparently I'm filming the premiere for it. Wow. I have no idea what
Hell
it is, but
yeah.
apparently it's like a super popular European show.
Yeah.
That's also big over here.
Yeah.
And they're having like a movie premiere and whatnot. And what I'm getting at is like with the travel that pyramid schemes can offer you, it's like, or go find a job that you can buy your own vacations, or find a job that will take you on travel, like you
Or
can
literally be anybody else than you.
or just go fucking move somewhere else, dude. Like it's not you have people that move to certain locations, pay a really low rent, work a job for 6 months to a year, and then move to another state. I've met so many people in this career that travel like that. They take their work elsewhere. There are people that have their businesses that literally travel, sit down in a place for 6 months, do their work on their laptop, get to fucking explore that country, and I'm talking different countries, and that lifestyle, everything else, and then pick up and move to another one and sit down for
And
6
it's
more
funny
months.
because those people record their amazing exotic experiences, right? They record these experiences. They look beautiful. They do a nice B-roll and everything, and then they post it up on like Shutterstock for pyramid schemes to buy to put in their presentations. The people who they advertise,
Stock images make you a lot of fucking money, dude.
the people who they advertise in their introduction videos are never actually people who are from the company.
One of my
Oh my
favorite
God.
things now is and it's actually like genuinely one of my favorite things, not sarcasm, is that more and more people are following the ones that are like, be an entrepreneur, quit your fucking job, do something creative. And that's that's where I fall into, except I'm not going to keep pushing it if people aren't interested. Like your brother, for example, when we were doing one of the podcasts one day, he was editing in my room.
Yeah.
I still have his folder saved. And I tell him every time I see him, hit me up if you want to come fucking work on it.
Yeah.
Because the opportunity to do whatever the fuck you want is out there, and a lot more people are pushing it. A lot more people.
Well, it's convenient being in the day and age where automation is kicking into high gear, and it's like, oh, retail jobs going out, oh, truck driver jobs going out,
And eventually
cashier jobs going out.
Creative jobs are definitely on the rise of.
Yeah, exactly.
But they're
So
like one of the last to go. So
yeah,
it's like in the meantime,
exactly 100%, because you can't automate creativity.
you can. You can.
How?
There's already a program out there that if you draw, it's literally you type in the program name. I just have to find it. I can find the video and then find the link if anything. But you go on this program and you draw a simple sailboat, a half circle with a line to draw the bottom, a line straight up, and a triangle at the top.
Yeah.
Put a sun in the background and some waves, and you click I don't know, calculate or whatever the fuck. And it literally paints a beautiful picture of a sailboat in the middle of the ocean with a sunset in the back. It literally, and you can buy it.
Is it a different picture every time?
Yeah.
Every time?
Yes.
There's no repeats?
No.
How?
Because everybody draws something a little bit different. If it's shifted off to the right, it's going to be shifted off to the right. Like it's not the same.
If it's like a sailboat, wouldn't the program rely on the same
You have to
idea
think
of a
this
sailboat?
program thinks of millions of different ways, especially if you train a computer program. It's the same thing with, we'll use Joe Rogan's podcast as, since we bring it up every fucking time. Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, here's our daily prayer.
so
This is Joe's body broken for you.
they made a robot listen
It's fucking
to
elk meat. I'm sorry.
1 or 10,000
not listening
hours.
to you.
1 to 10,000 hours of his podcast, made a robot listen to it.
Yeah, and then recreated his
and
voice.
then recreated it, right?
Yeah,
If you have a robot look at 10,000 different pieces of sailboat art, because more than likely it's out there, it's eventually going to be able, and it's all unique too. All the paintings that it creates, it takes its knowledge and then applies it in different ways.
You'll have to show me.
But I watched this whole thing, and it was a video on, it was this fucking one of those fast videos, British dude just fucking talking, and about how the world is eventually just going to be run by robots, essentially.
Yeah. Automation slowly taking over more and more complex jobs.
And then the last job to go, the last set of jobs was creative jobs. He's like, if you think you're safe, and then it just slaps on the screen, it says creative jobs, and he was showing all the different things that robots can do, AIs can do. I'm saying robots, but like AI programs, all those different things. Yeah, dude, it's getting there.
Well, yeah, it's getting there, but status quo, as far as I can say, like automation's far from reaching creativity where it's the level of humans.
I think you got to read up on this because it's not that far away.
I think it's far. Like, and I've looked at modern automation and everything, but like you can tell when, for now, you can tell when it's a program. You can tell when something's not quite organic.
What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. I haven't read anything about that. That's why I was just listening. I don't know anything about like the creativity part of it. I know that there's a lot of technology taking out jobs now, like, in factories and stuff. A lot of people are losing their blue collar jobs, but the creativity part of it, I don't know. Like you can't have a robot edit and cut videos the way you want to if you're doing YouTube videos or if you're editing something like that, like if you want to program them to do something like that, you're basically just doing it yourself anyway. So I think to a certain extent, like AI would take over.
Yeah. But to a certain extent now, because they can do all that shit now.
And that's the thing too. If people hear like, oh, like, I'm selling this picture and it's, from this AI program, people are going to find as much value in it because it's just, you see that there isn't the work in it. You see that it's an AI program. And so it's the people who genuinely can draw that are going to be able to be like, this is what I made with my own hands. And just like how you can 3D print a sculpture, it's way more valuable when someone takes the time to carve it out of marble.
That's exactly how everything was 50 years ago. It's human beings doing things. And then eventually some of those jobs are going out, like the human interaction of talking to your cashier, right? Is now slowly starting to disappear. I went over to, I think it was Vallarta, and they took out 3 or 4 lanes. And I was like, oh, you have a self-checkout. You guys weren't doing this before because they can save money. And that was 50 years ago. People didn't even think that fucking computers could function properly, right? I don't even know when I always forget the year that computers were invented, but it's people weren't thinking that they were going to have their jobs taken. And now those jobs are being taken, automated.
Yeah. Like, but compared to when computers first came out, decades.
But at the incline that we're at with technology, it's only a matter of time before, dude, cars are driving us around now. One of the things I actually pointed out to a buddy today was he was signing up for a program, and you know how you get sent a security code on your text messages?
Yeah.
If you get the code and then you have to wait for it, your phone automatically reads your text. And then it says suggested code above your little text.
My phone has done that too.
And you fill in the code.
Yep.
Okay. That wasn't there a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And now it's reading your text. Venmo, if you didn't sign up to, do you have Venmo? Do you have Venmo? Oh yeah. That happened.
I don't got Venmo.
Right. If you signed up to Venmo the fastest way, something that I just learned today that I didn't know, so I'm going to go and change that as fast as I can. If there's the quick sign into your actual bank account through Venmo, or take the one that takes 3 to 5 business days, but you just send them your routing number. The routing number is a safer one. It just takes a little bit longer. If you actually signed in with your bank account, periodically they check how much money you have in your account.
Oh, fuck.
Why? For what? Because everything's being kept on record. Things are starting to be tracked, and then eventually that just gets fed into like AI, and then they know what, like, if they know how much is in your account, then they teach the AI that. And this is me going off of like my knowledge of different shit.
Sounds like we're going down the doomsday route.
Yeah, but what I'm mostly getting at is, dude, they already have, and you saw, I showed you, I don't know if you've seen it, but they took Joe Rogan's voice, and it was a you know how they can do the
like the robot basically says whatever you type that you want it to say in that voice, right?
No, well, they didn't. necessarily type it. I think the AI came up with it on its own.
I don't know. I don't know if it did or not. I don't think they ever put that out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it
But I
did
know
just
you're talking
because
about.
yeah, and it said it in his voice and was talking about some fucking monkey
Hockey team
that was
Feed 'em
being
all elk meat
something
and
that he would
psychedelics.
actually fucking talk about.
That's insane.
And other than a few, like, you can tell when it's a robot versus when it's not to an extent. But that's the first fucking case I heard of it, and it was good,
Yeah,
dude.
it was really good.
It was so
Scary
good that
That's
if
terrifying.
if it was put on and I didn't tell you,
Yeah.
you'd probably be like, "Why is Joe? It's a little
He's
odd. Why is
talking
he
a little
talking?
choppy.
Is he drunk?
Yeah.
That's it. You would just think he was drunk. That could literally be an episode, and no one would know the difference.
That's so dangerous if it gets in the wrong hands.
That's my point.
You know those scam calls, where people were like, "Oh, we have your mom" or something, or like
Yeah.
we have
Oh,
someone.
dude,
like,
that's
that would
Yeah,
freak
imagine
me
they
the
get
fuck
your
out.
mother's voice.
Yeah,
and
that
then
would-
they can
that
make
would
it
freak
sound
me
like
out.
whatever.
no,
like make it say whatever.
they actually that's the thing is they have certain recordings of like making it sound like they actually have the person. They don't at all.
Yeah.
They just have them because they have their recorded voice somewhere.
I don't know, bro. Check my iPhone. Says she's in the living room.
Yeah,
Right, but if they're gone for just enough amount of time,
yeah,
like
it scares people.
I feel like luckily, since we grew up in the day and age of technology and constantly having to adapt to new and new innovations, new and newer innovations, we have a keen eye for scams.
Yeah,
Like we're not the type to click on the congratulations, you want a PS4.
yeah, we're not
yeah,
baby
that's
boomers.
old.
No, I know, but that's what I'm getting at. Is like even when it popped up, like
Yeah.
you can kind of look at it and go, no.
The prime example is, and I know this is just the Russian bot thing, so that depends upon if it's AI or if it's an actual Russian running the account. But it's the accounts that were created 7 years ago, so they
That was
become
real
established.
people though.
But what I'm getting at is that can be very easily transferred over to an AI. And what you're reading, this propaganda of whatever they're posting up, is very believable. So you could very easily read into it.
Yeah, that and it depends on your level of critical thinking
And if
your
it's a
ability
trusted
to
source
find
too.
holes and
Ninja, the video
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
guy, just got his account hacked on Instagram.
Oh,
He's got millions of fucking followers.
Yeah.
Millions.
Yeah, that's rough.
And there was a swipe up link. And people got
Oh,
their
fuck.
accounts hacked.
oh no.
Whoa.
And he was like, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about it. If
Yeah.
you did change all your passwords, do it immediately.
sucks.
I'm trying to make sure this never happens again.
That's rough.
Yeah,
And it was just because this guy who's got tens of millions of followers, now people are reading into it because they thought
Yeah.
it was him. It's
Yeah.
just, that's all I'm getting
going
at.
back to the AIs and robots. I don't know if you guys read anything about Japan, but did you know? I think there's an article saying that Japan is becoming like one of the most loneliest countries because people aren't guys and girls aren't interested in like dating each other because guys have like robot girls now, and then they're
They
really
tend to have that
quiet.
obsession with that.
Yeah, I read a book, Aziz Ansari book. It was called Modern Romance, I think. He did basically studies about love and relationships around the world. So Japan was one of the countries he visited, and he was talking about how a lot of girls in Japan look for very I think the term he said was like American type of businessmen. So like they're interested in like men that will like take the lead, that will like, provide for them and stuff.
Yeah.
But then a lot of Japanese men aren't like that because they're passive, they're quiet, they're shy. And
like
so that's why they're not meshing. So like the production or like the amount of babies that they're having at this rate is like dropping.
Oh yeah, the life rate versus death rate
Yeah.
in Japan is crazy. They have way
Yeah.
more old people than young people.
Yeah. Like people aren't having enough babies over there.
The AI thing is a perfect fucking example of these
Yeah.
human sex dolls, but they're not
Yeah.
human, but they fucking look human,
And apparently
dude.
they're very advanced in Japan.
Yes.
Yeah, Japan puts a lot of money and time
Like to
into
the
those.
point where like these things will make noises and their skin is synthetic enough to actually feel human. And there's an off and on switch. So for the people that are like, I can't get laid and it's too much fucking work, I'll just turn her on when I need to turn her on.
buy some rubber pussy and you're good.
Yep.
Yep.
So it's like that 20 years ago was fucking blasphemous, dude. They had blow
20
up
years
dolls.
ago, it was cinema.
Yeah.
It was just movie ideas.
Yeah.
I think now we're still in that time where it's like, oh, she blinks slow. That's a robot. Like we're good. It's cold, but
what if
what I'm
that's-
saying is in the future, it's crazy when you have like, oh yeah, this one has a circulation system of warm water, so it feels like a human body.
But that doesn't work for you, the slow blinking and whatnot. But what if they're just like,
Yeah.
hey, that works for me.
No, what I'm
There's
getting
a
at
lot-
is yeah, that can work for you, but like at least being able nowadays to differentiate between human and robot, to be able to look at it and be like, okay, that is kind of eerie because you can tell it's not fully human.
Right.
I'm talking about once we get to that point in the future where you're like, I kind of have to look at this thing for a good amount of time before I differentiate whether or not it's a person who's kind of acting off or if it's a human creation.
I don't know. I think we're well on our way to everything just catching on fire. I really do.
I don't have that as much of a.
It's not
doomsday.
pessimistic. It's literally it's a realistic view. If you read into all this different shit, dude, I
don't know. I still think it's pessimistic because because it's still how you interpret it.
I'm optimistic that human beings can still be human beings. I'm pessimistic to the idea of AI very, very quickly building its way to the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
I just don't like to think about it. I'm just trying to go day by day, think of my grateful days.
I just because of the
there you
podcast,
go, right?
because of the podcast that I do listen to,
Yeah.
being Joe Rogan's, like all the different people that come on, it's like you just hear about all that shit, and it's coming fast. Elon Musk is scared. Fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson is scared. These other guys who are like higher up in the science field,
It starts in the academies. It always starts in the academies, and then it gets to the universities, and then it gets to the public. And so
then-
if the academia guys are giving the warnings now, you better look for that iceberg.
That's my point. So it's not even really a pessimistic view. It's just realistic.
Well, I think the pessimistic view is the whole everything's on fire.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was a joke. I'm not really thinking everything's on fire.
Well, just seeing it go down the road of like, oh shit, this is going to go bad. I don't see it as
I
going
think we're
bad. I see it
going
as
to
going
adjust, but I don't
I
think.
think it's a big adjustment period. It's like a, I don't know, cultural, humanistic revolution. But I see it as once the adjustment period's over, a lot of benefit. But then again, optimistic side of it.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
if you will.
Fuck out of here. All right. How do you feel, Linda? How do you feel that went?
I don't know. You can think about it and feel scared. You can think about it, be optimistic. Depends on your perspective. But I feel like too much technology can be a bad thing, I guess.
Definitely.
Like,
Being able to see the moderation. in it.
yeah, like I don't know if you read or saw this Tesla news thing, but someone fell asleep while they were driving a Tesla on the freeway and it was still going. Did you see that?
I'm not shocked about it. I haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
but I think the guy was drunk when he passed out and he was driving, and there were police cars on the freeway trying to pull him over, and he wasn't stopping. So what they did was they drove around and in front of him, and they started slowing down slowly, so that way the
that's
Tesla would slow
smart.
down slowly. And I was like, I can't believe we're at like this day and age
Where
now
it's on a chase now.
someone is
Robot.
literally knocked out and the Tesla is still fucking going.
That's
not-
so crazy.
that's
That's
not the
futuristic as fuck.
Yeah.
The first was the guy who fell asleep at the wheel in his Tesla, and I think he had it clocked at in a 65, he was going like 75 or 80 or something, and he passed out, and he was, I think he either passed out or he was playing a video game, and I'm pretty sure he was passed out, and a big rig decided to take a turn because it thought it had enough time, and his Tesla went underneath it, and the whole top half of the car was cut off, including that guy's head.
Oh my god!
Completely just decapitated. But yeah, like those cars will just drive on their own, dude. And that's my point, is like if you get it, it's already on its way. It's gonna
See,
take.
but
Oh
I
yeah,
mean-
definitely. But that's dumbasses falling asleep at the wheel.
Exactly. Like there's
You fall asleep at the wheel with a regular car, you're gonna get your head cut off
Exactly.
eventually.
Like, people always have, there's so much backlash about Teslas and like how their like auto drive thing isn't safe. It's like, well, you're supposed to be fucking paying attention anyway.
yeah, they
Like,
never told you to take your hands off the wheel.
Exactly. It's like, sure, I can turn on the self-driving thing on the freeway, but does that mean I'm going to turn around and like do shit and not look at the wheel? You know,
exactly.
like I'm still going to have my foot on the brake.
Synthetic, like human robot, whatever the hell you want to call it, hybrid, was driving a Tesla, and it's like, hello, sir. And it just, you get in and it takes you, are you going to trust that more than the car itself just driving? So if it was two robots,
I'm not gonna get
initially
in.
it would be the same. What'd you say?
I wouldn't get in.
I would.
Initially, it would be the same thing. It's still a robot, whether or not it's in the car or out
But
of
it's
the car.
it's
still a
two
robot.
systems working together.
Why would you need two systems?
I'm just saying, like, if it gets to the point, I really do think at some point we're going to be walking around with like human hybrid things. Like, I really do.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is like, why would you need two systems to run the car? Why
I'm
would
just saying, would it be more appealing would you fall asleep in that car if two systems were working together versus just one?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's no difference.
Oh,
It's so far advanced that I don't know the fuck's going on. So yeah,
I'd be too afraid. I don't know. Like new things like that, I'm just kind of wary of. So I'd just be too afraid of it.
I think you would be too afraid at the start.
Probably,
but I think
yeah.
after your 20th time getting in the car,
20th time.
Really,
okay, maybe someone
really
else's
tired.
20th time getting in the car, and then I'd be like, okay, maybe I'll go.
Yeah, you're like really tired. It's your 20th time. You're like, I've gotten home safe all 20 times or all 19 times before this. Like, I'm just gonna pass out for 5 minutes. Next thing you wake up and they're like, get out of the car.
What was the 2K something where the robots were going to take over? I forget the big ass. Like
2K, like the
Y2K?
basketball game? Oh, the Y2K?
Y2K, there you go.
When the
thought you were
computers
talking
were all
about the
going to crash at 2000.
And everything was going to
Oh,
like
from 1999 to 2000, right?
right. And now like we trust everything with our phones, and it's like people
Well, I don't
adjust to.
They didn't expect the computers to just take over. They expected them all to crash because they weren't going to be able to handle the transition to a new millennia. That was the idea. Was the system itself was all going to crash and like the grid would go down. It wasn't more or less computer takeover.
How are you 3 years younger than us know more about this than us?
Because
It's just
all he
what
does-
time I spend looking at this shit. Remember YouTube Premium?
Right. I listened to a whole podcast of you talking about dinosaurs. So
And it's you also have to understand that like when it comes down to knowledge of things, depending on how interested I am in it.
Oh, true,
like,
true.
I'll read like one or two things, and if they both say the same thing, most of the time I'm not going to keep reading into it. So like when people are like, Y2K, computer's going to take over, and I hear that, I probably heard that 4 or 5 times growing up. So
I didn't even know about it when it happened.
Yeah, I wasn't. When I happened, I was
Oh
fucking
no, I'm talking
3.
about being older and
Yeah.
still hearing that. So that was my misunderstanding on that whole thing. But I was just saying the fact that people like adjust to different things, and eventually, like if you did have to get and trust the system to take you somewhere, more and more times would eventually make you more and more comfortable
Dude,
with it.
Yeah.
It's
true.
the same thing whenever new revolutions come out with technology. The public is usually super scared and super skeptical of it. They're like, oh no, are you kidding me? A fucking car? I'll stick to my horse-drawn carriage. Thank you very much. I do not need that. Oh, a refrigerator? You mean something that's going to cause my house to catch on fire whenever I'm not looking? I'll have my ice delivered. Thank you very much. And next thing you know, your neighbors get it, your family gets it, your friends get it, and you're like, I'll get a fridge. Why not? I'll get a car. Sure. I'll get Neuralink. I'll put a fucking chip in my head. Sure.
Right.
And it's scary at first until everybody does it. And the people who are like you or maybe like me that are like, oh, fuck yeah, I'd get in the car. And you're like, come on, I've gotten in this car hundreds of times and we're fine. And then someone else gets in it and they're fine too. And they start warming up to it. And suddenly they're a part of the people who are trying to convince the weirdos that still haven't gotten a cell phone to get one.
Yeah. Okay. You guys want to wrap it up?
Sure.
You feel like you covered everything you want to cover?
Yeah.
Did the mics disappear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What mics?
Exactly.
Sure. I had to pee for like the last, I don't know how long it's been that we've been recording,
Why
but
didn't you just get up?
I didn't want to miss anything.
You can go back though.
I know, but I didn't want to miss anything. So I'm waiting until we're done.
I'm
to pee.
curious just because you listened to it enough. Are you gonna listen back on your own?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm actually always like stoked to hear that because I don't know, like everyone else has wanted to, but
I
we haven't
always
run
would
into
want to.
somebody that
Hasn't?
hasn't.
See,
be kind
the
of
thing is,
interesting.
I hate my voice when I'm editing videos and vlogs and stuff.
Everybody
I'm like,
says it.
fuck,
You
I
haven't
hate my
gotten
voice.
used to it after all this time?
No, I hate it. Like
I
sometimes
think after these couple hours, you'll get used to
probably,
it.
but when we're hanging out like at parties or like if we're just hanging out at a friend's house, like Vince will always pull up one of my vlogs and play it on the big screen. And I'm like, oh my god, because like the video always
guys,
starts off
shut
with
the
me.
fuck up.
Yeah, and it's just like, hey guys, it's Linda, welcome back to my channel. And I'm like, I hear like a drilling in my head right now. Like turn it off, please.
I get that. That's kind of like this weird embarrassment that you get. But I think that just has to do with like maybe you don't want to have your own stuff play. Not that.
No, I just.
Or is it really your
I
voice?
think, I think I have an annoying voice.
Not at all, dude. I think honestly,
was-
when you
Coming from someone who hears your voice more outside than you do, you don't.
yeah, like,
That's what I was afraid of too. I was like, what if I get on, like, what if I say hi to them and they're like, holy fuck, her voice is so annoying.
No.
No,
not at all.
definitely not. If you had an annoying voice and you brought this up, Nick and I would have been way more awkward about you bringing it up. We would have been like, "No, you're a ton of fun."
But,
no, you genuinely don't.
I think it went really well. So
Thank you for having me.
yeah, dude, I'm really glad we got to do this.
It's
honestly
been
could
long
have
coming.
been so much sooner. I didn't know why. I don't know why we didn't do it sooner.
We just didn't do it. Plain
Like,
and simple.
we had
just
the
didn't do it.
opportunity
Yeah.
to just be like, hey, you're not that far. Just drive up. But I'm glad we did. So
Any final thoughts you have? Anything that you thought, oh, I need to talk about this. I need to shout this person out. I need to say this before.
how can I bury Nick in tub?
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I got triggered when Nick said yin and yang. I'm just
Jesus
kidding. No. I think you need to watch The Office before they remove it off Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm still not over it. I will still watch it until it gets removed.
I'm gonna be real with you. Parks and Rec over The Office any day.
No, I prefer The Office over Parks and Rec. I couldn't get into Parks and Rec. I don't know.
How
I've
long
heard
did
that
you
before.
give it?
2 seasons. Everyone's always
Really?
like, get over the first season. It's funny. And I was like, I don't think this is funny.
See, at the same time, I'm saying really, but like I watched The Office. It's okay, but whenever I think of Parks and Rec, I'm like, yeah, that's it. That's the shit right there.
How do you think people would react if shows like that were released now? Like
Parks and Rec?
Like in The Office. Like if new episodes were coming out now, like
with the same offensive stuff that they were saying then, everybody.
I think people would love it. I think it would make
think
headlines,
so?
but I think people would love it.
Oh yeah, because if you
Wow.
really think about
I think there are way fewer
Big
people
Mouth.
who bitch about it. Yeah, Big Mouth is fucking
Big
nuts.
Mouth. Have you watched
Big
Big
Mouth
Mouth?
is showing
Yes, I
little child penises on the
What'd you
fucking.
say?
I don't know why
I'm
I fucking
triggered.
mixed those words.
and that's how we're gonna end the episode.
But yeah, no, they're showing like little kid dicks and crazy fucking puberty
but
jokes
there
all
was
the
a
time.
whole episode of Michael Scott making fun of Oscar for being gay. Like you need to watch
But
that episode.
really-
It's so funny.
Yeah,
and in
but
order
Big
for him,
Mouth is like, hey, you want to fuck her? Like it's just
Yeah.
all sorts of extremely graphic.
True.
one of my dicks? Check your ass.
that was very good.
Okay, but
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
if it came out now, I think
Yeah.
it'd be okay. I think eventually people would just grow accustomed to it. Okay, that was episode 33.
33.
33 already.
Fuck yeah,
Wow.
33.
You've been here along with us for the
I
whole
know.
ride.
Thank you for listening, by the way. It's just, it's
course.
cool. It's always nice. And that allowed us to literally meet. And now you're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, make friends. That's,
Yeah.
that's what we talked about episode 1, man.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we talked about.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't know who's going to be on next.
Yeah,
But-
we haven't figured that out for the first time in a couple
Yeah,
months.
we normally have it lined up. But
We'll bring some banger, don't you guys worry.
until then, yeah, go fuck yourself. I don't know.
Sounds good. Later.
Bye.